Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis is ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, just saying hi. Five somebody rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good afternoon. Good morning and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. We got a press conference happening right now as we speak. White House is briefing everyone after Trump is threatening the Insurrection Act. So we're going to be jumping right into that here very, very shortly. But do me the solid, okay, before we get into everything, because honestly, this press briefing was supposed to start about 15 minutes ago, and it just started. So please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, I'm on all of them. So make sure you hit that follow button on those platforms. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, please, and thank you here on my YouTube channel. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips and Pascal Raw. That's my third channel. Make sure you subscribe to all three of them. Hit that notification bell, set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random. A lot of times it's random or it's breaking news. That's just how the cookie crumbles for now. So make sure you're subscribed and that notification bell is set to all. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon, which is right there on the ticker going down across the screen as we speak. Support the channel if you can. And of course, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys, we had to blaze through that pretty quickly because there is a lot going on this morning. Okay, and it's going to continue to be a thicker than a snicker week. Let me just say that. It's going to be thicker than a snicker, as we are seeing right now. Caroline is at the podium right now. She is going to be addressing the world right now because, yes, Trump did say, he's like, I will invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota if these people they better stop acting a fool out here in these streets, in these Minneapolis streets. But if you continue to act a fool, I'm bringing in this Insurrection Act. So this press conference has just begun. Let's see how they butter this bread. Because and how much sugar she gonna put on that buttered bread. Okay. I don't know if that even sounds good, but like sugar and butter and bread, but nonetheless, they're in the middle of this. Okay. So let's take a listen to this and let's see if we believe what she is saying.
Full tariffs, fair trade deals, massive middle-class tax cuts, energy dominance, and aggressive deregulation. The overwhelmingly positive economic data released this week underscores the significant progress the president has already delivered. Tuesday's CPI report marked the latest confirmation that President Trump has defeated Joe Biden's inflation crisis. Since President Trump took office, core CPI has increased at just a 2.4% annualized rate, substantially lower than the 3.3% annual rate inherited from the Biden administration last January. Importantly, as inflation cools, Americans' wages are rising, giving the American people more purchasing power. And with what is likely going to be a record-breaking tax refund season in the next couple of weeks, the American people will be reaping the rewards of the massive tax cuts that were signed into law by the president. Thanks to President Trump's signing of no tax on tips, overtime, Social Security, boosting the child tax credit, and locking in the 2017 Trump tax cuts, independent estimates project the average American tax filer could expect up to an extra $1,000 bump to their tax refund next year. This is going to be a helpful boost to working families who are making ends meet. On the energy front, the national average price for a gallon of regular gas this week fell to its lowest level in 5 years.
Word.
Thanks to President Trump's drill baby drill agenda.
Interesting.
According to Gas Buddy, the average price for regular gas on Monday was below $3 per gallon in 43 states, below $2.75 per gallon in 30 states, and at or below $2.50 per gallon in 17 states. In fact, gas prices were below $2 a gallon at stations in at least 19 states, Don't forget, this was unheard of just a couple of short years ago. Overall, drivers are projected to spend $11 billion less at the gas pump this year than they did last year, resulting in hundreds of dollars in critical savings for the average American family. We're also seeing the housing market rebound as borrowing costs ease and income growth outpaces home price gains. According to a new report also released this week from the National Association of Realtors, existing home sales in December rose to their fastest pace in 3 years. To further improve housing affordability, President Trump has recently announced and directed Fannie and Freddie to purchase $200 billion worth of mortgage bonds. As a result of these actions, mortgage rates have fallen to their lowest level in years. As of last Friday, rates for the average 30-year mortgage are down more than 1 full percentage point. Because of these significant declines, monthly housing payments are now at their lowest level in 2 years, and we expect this decrease to continue. As someone who was enormously successful in real estate, President Trump understands that owning a home is about more than just having a physical asset. It's about empowering young people to stake their claim in the American dream. It's about giving newlyweds a place to make their own and start a family. It's about promoting the spirit of hard work, determination, and yes, the rugged individualism that has made America the greatest country in the history of the world. President Trump knows America is strongest when it's a nation of owners, not renters, and he is determined to unlock that opportunity for as many Americans as possible. That's why he will outline additional housing initiatives during his major speech in Davos next week, and we look forward to seeing many of you there. Finally, this morning, President Trump unveiled a healthcare plan for America called the Great Healthcare Plan, and a video message detailing his solutions to lower costs for all Americans and significantly improve our healthcare system. The Great Healthcare Plan will accomplish this through 4 common sense pillars. Number 1, permanently lowering prescription drug prices. Congress can get this done by codifying President Trump's historic Most Favored Nation initiatives into law to guarantee Americans the same low prices for prescription drugs that people in other countries around the world pay. Additionally, by increasing consumer choice by making more verified, safe pharmaceutical drugs available for over-the-counter purchases. Number 2, the Great Healthcare Plan will stop sending big insurance companies billions in extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice. Additionally, by funding a cost-sharing reduction program for healthcare plans and ending kickbacks from pharmacy benefit managers to large brokerage middlemen. Number 3, the Great Healthcare Plan will maximize price transparency by requiring any healthcare provider or insurer who accepts either Medicare or Medicaid to publicly and prominently post their pricing and fees to avoid surprise medical bills. This is an incredibly popular policy that has been bipartisan for many years, and President Trump is officially and firmly calling on Congress to get it done. And number 4, holds big insurance companies accountable by requiring them to publish rate and coverage comparisons up front on their websites in plain English so consumers and everyday Americans can make the best purchasing decisions for them and their families. These are common sense actions that make up President Trump's Great Healthcare Plan, and they represent the most comprehensive and bold agenda to lower healthcare costs to have ever been considered by the federal government. Congress should immediately take up President Trump's plan and pass it into law. For Americans watching at home, you can visit greathealthcare.gov right now for more information on the Great Healthcare Plan. And with that, we will open it up to questions.
Here we go.
In our new media seat today, we have a familiar face, Riley Gaines. I'm surprised it took us a year to get you here, but I'm very happy to see you. I know you have a new podcast.
She's back.
Show, and so thank you. And you brought a beautiful baby and your lovely husband too. So thank you so much for joining. And why don't you kick us off?
Absolutely. Well, thank you. First and foremost, congratulations to you. Being a girl mom will change your life in the best way possible. So excited you get to shop all the pink and the frilly and the bows. I was in Washington, D.C. earlier this week for the Supreme Court case. There were 2 arguments that were heard surrounding sex-based rights and if it's constitutional for states to pass laws that ultimately protect those rights for women. If the Supreme Court rules as anticipated in favor of maintaining these sex-based rights, Is the administration prepared to take action against the states? I believe at this point it's 23 states that don't have those protections for women.
Absolutely. And as you know, Riley, the administration already has done so. We've taken action in a number of fronts against these states who are failing to uphold the president's executive orders in this administration's policy of simply protecting women in women's sports and in women's private spaces. We've gone to the mat with large universities in this country as well to try to fight for what's fair and what's just for women and girls across the country. So I know you were at the arguments. I listened to them myself as a woman and as a former athlete. And I think the president speaks on common sense on this issue, that women's sports and private spaces should be protected, and that there are two genders, there are two sexes. That is not something we should be afraid to say in this country. And I think, frankly, it was quite alarming to not only hear a couple of justices gravel over that basic fundamental biological fact that men and women are different but inherently equal, but we are certainly different and women deserve such rights. We hope and expect that the Supreme Court will rule in the right way on this matter. Thank you. Gabe.
Thank you very much. A lot to talk about.
Sure. Isn't there always a lot to talk about?
What can you share about the president's meeting with Maria Corina Machado? Is it underway? What can you share about that?
Yeah,
And
what's
then
up with
also, the
Venezuela?
president said yesterday that Delcy Rodriguez was, quote, a terrific person. Does the president trust the remaining members of the Maduro regime?
I will say to your first question, the meeting was about to begin as I was stepping out of the Oval Office moments ago. So my understanding is that it's underway right now. I know the president was looking forward to this meeting, and he's was expecting it to be a good and positive discussion with Ms. Machado, who is really a remarkable and brave voice for many of the people of Venezuela. So the president looks forward to obviously talking to her about the realities on the ground in the country and what is taking place. As for Ms. Rodriguez, the president did speak with her directly this week. As you know, he revealed that to all of you yesterday. And Secretary Rubio and the administration have been in constant communication with Ms. Rodriguez and other members of the interim government in Venezuela. They have been extremely cooperative. They have thus far met all of the demands and requests of the United States and of the president. And I think you have all seen that play out. We obviously had a $500 million energy deal that was struck in large part because of the cooperation from Ms. Rodriguez. Venezuela and Ms. Rodriguez have also confirmed that they will be releasing political prisoners from Venezuela. There were 5 Americans who were recently released this week as well. So the president likes what he's seeing and will expect that cooperation to continue.
And, regarding the investigation into the leak that the president referenced yesterday, what is the administration's position on the Washington Post reporter? The Post has reported that she was told that she is not a target of the investigation. Does the administration believe she did anything wrong? And then also, what is the administration's position on the Pentagon Papers case from the 1970s that affirmed reporters' right to publish classified information under certain circumstances?
Well, since this is an active investigation, I don't want to comment on it much more than what we did yesterday to obviously confirm the investigation. And I can confirm what the Attorney General stated and the President as well, which is that the individual, unfortunately, a contractor at the Pentagon, chose to unlawfully leak classified and very serious information to this Washington Post reporter. Hence why the reporter's home was looked into by the FBI, rightfully so. And the administration is not going to tolerate leaks, especially from within the national security apparatus of the United States government, that put our nation's integrity and our national security at risk. Full stop. The president will not support that. I know the Secretary of War will not support that, and it will not stand. And legal action will be taken against anyone, whether it's a member of the press or whether it's an employee for a federal agency who breaks the law. If you break the law and if you endanger our men and women in uniform, you are going to be held accountable, period, full stop.
But
Jackie.
Does this administration believe that this reporter or any reporter has a right to publish classified information under certain circumstances?
Look, I think that we do not believe that individuals who have been given the privilege of holding a top secret clearance should be illegally leaking that classified information. And I know the American people agree with that. And I think it's a basic tenet of journalistic integrity not to publish information that could directly endanger the operational security or the brave men and women who are serving this country in uniform and putting themselves in harm's way to protect not just the people of this administration, but all of you in the press and all of their fellow Americans as well. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. I wanted to get the White House reaction to Iranian state TV broadcasting an implicit threat to the president's life. It was images of the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, according to reports, with the message, "This time it will not go wrong."
I have not seen that, to be honest with you, Jackie. We'll take a look, and I'll let the president and his national security team examine that footage to ensure its legitimacy. Again, I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on it. What I will say with respect to Iran is that the president and his team have communicated to the Iranian regime that if the killing continues, there will be grave consequences. And the president received a message, as he revealed to all of you and the whole world yesterday, that the killing and the executions will stop. And the president understands today that 800 executions that were scheduled and supposed to take place yesterday were halted. And so the president and his team are closely monitoring this situation, and all options remain on the table for the president.
Netanyahu encouraged him against strikes.
Look, it's true that the president spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu, but I would never details about their conversation without giving the expressed approval by the president himself.
Thank you, Caroline. Is it still the president's assessment that it would be very hard for Ms. Machado to leave Venezuela because he says she lacks the respect and support in that country? And will he raise that with her today?
I think the president's assessment that you just pointed out was based on realities on the ground. It was a realistic assessment based on what the president was reading and hearing from his advisors and national security team. And at this moment in time, his opinion on that matter has not changed.
He has also said that he would like there to be elections in Venezuela when the time is right.
That's right.
Do you have any update on when that might be? And is he committed to a transition to democracy for Venezuela?
Yes, and he is also committed to hopefully seeing elections in Venezuela one day, but I don't have an updated timetable for you today.
It's not going to happen anytime soon, y'all.
Question for you on Minnesota.
Not anytime soon.
Sure.
President Trump threatened invoking the Insurrection Act today in Truth Social post. I'm wondering what his tipping point is. Like, what would it take for him to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Look, that's only a question, frankly, Reagan, the president can answer. But the Insurrection Act is a tool at the president's disposal. As you know, it has been used sparingly, but it has been used by previous presidents in American history. And I think the president's Truth Social post spoke very loud and clear to Democrats across this country, elected officials who are using their platforms to encourage violence against federal law enforcement officers, who are encouraging left-wing agitators to unlawfully obstruct legitimate law enforcement operations. And if you talk to any law enforcement officer, no matter what level they work at, they want to be working with their counterparts, whether that's at the federal level or the federal authorities wanting to work with their counterparts at the state and local level. And it's truly shameful that now for more than a year, you've had elected Democrat governors and mayors who have basically held their state and local law enforcement hostage and told them, you cannot cooperate with federal law enforcement. Why? They cooperated under the Biden administration. It's because these Democrats are deranged in their hatred for President Trump, and they are holding their state and local law enforcement hostage as a result. And these Democrat mayors and governors are doing this over what? Over the lawful and legitimate law enforcement operations to remove violent criminals from the streets of Minnesota, from the streets of California, from the streets of New York, and from the streets of every state across this country. And you don't see these riots and this vandalism taking place in states like Florida. Why? Because you have a governor in that state who has empowered federal and local authorities to work together. And it's despicable what we're seeing from these Democrat politicians, especially in sanctuary states and cities across the country.
Caroline.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, thank you so much. My question is, President Trump has talked twice in recent days, once at the Kennedy Center and then to Reuters again last night, about canceling the election. Why is he talking about this?
I believe you're referring to the president's interview
Crazy.
with Reuters last night. I was in that interview. It was a closed-door interview, obviously.
Hold on. I just want to make this abundantly clear. He wants to abolish midterm elections. I'm just letting you know. He's trying to abolish the midterm elections. Just put that in your pipe and smoke on it for a second. Yeah, WTF. In all caps, WTF. Yeah, because he knows he's going to lose. And let me just say this too. I'm sorry for pausing this. We're going to continue, but I want to make this abundantly clear. If he doesn't do what he said it in a joking manner at first. He said, maybe we'll just, stop the midterm elections, we'll see, with his little, with his smirk, right? He said it in jest. Now he's like, well, in fact, maybe we can abolish midterm elections. Let me explain to you why. He wants to abolish midterm elections. If he loses his control of the House and the Senate, you know what's coming next, right? Another impeachment. Maybe after him being impeached, incarceration, because of the crimes that he's committing while he is president right now as we speak. Because here's the thing. We don't need to argue on he's not doing anything wrong. No, there's some things that he's doing right now that are absolutely illegal. And as soon as he walks out of office, if the powers that be want to, they could charge him again as soon as he walks out of office. That's if he walks out of office, y'all. Because now it's becoming even more probable of him running in 2028. Put that in your pipe and smoke on it for just a little bit. Put that bee in your bonnet. That bee is going to be very annoying. Okay? That's not good. Him trying to stop elections from actually happening, because we already know it's going to be a blue wave. It's going to be a blue tsunami, a blue nami, when midterm elections actually do happen. But if he actually tries to move his hand to stop elections from happening, first off, illegal. It's illegal. That's illegal. Constitutionally, that's illegal. It goes against the Constitution. It goes against everything that this country's been built on. But that also tells you that if he does that and he's successful, that confirms 110% what we all have been seeing right now, that we don't live in a democracy anymore. And now we live in an imperial empire. That's literally what we're seeing. If he's successful in taking Venezuela, Cuba, even Mexico, Greenland, Iran, because that's coming next. We're not in a democracy. We're not. Not anymore. If he's successful doing that. And he does have his minions and the people, the powers that be underneath him as well. These sycophants that are all up his booty hole. They're not gonna waver. So it depends on all the other people within Congress, within the House and the Senate to step forward and do something about it. But that's crazy that he's talking about possibly trying to stop midterm elections from ever even happening. And I know there's somebody out here that is people out here that are all about it. If that does happen, the entire country will be upside down in flames.
There was not audio or video. The president was simply joking. He was saying, we're doing such a great job. We're doing everything the American people thought. Maybe we should just keep rolling. But he was speaking facetiously.
And then one more.
Sure.
On the labor secretary. She's under investigation. Has he spoken to her about this?
I don't know if the president has spoken directly to the secretary. If they have, I'm unfamiliar with that conversation, but I have spoken to the president about that report regarding the secretary. He's aware of the internal investigation and he stands by the secretary, and he thinks that she's doing a tremendous job at the Department of Labor on behalf of American workers. PBS, go ahead.
You were mentioning a moment ago about working federal, state, local officials in Minneapolis. Governor Walz's office is saying today that he's trying to get a hold directly with the president. Have they spoken? And if they haven't, why haven't they spoken? If there's a desire from Walz, if they're saying to de-escalate what's happening there.
I'm not sure if that's a genuine offer to speak with the president. I was with the president about 30 minutes ago and they hadn't spoken at that point. Look, the president is always willing to answer the phone when people pick up and call. When there was another tragic shooting many months ago in Governor Walz' state, he spoke directly with the governor. But I would ask that the governor stops inciting the harassment and illegal obstruction of law enforcement in his state. All ICE and federal law enforcement are trying to do are remove people like this off of the streets of Governor Walz's city in Minneapolis and of his state in Minnesota. If you look at some of the individuals in this photo, these are all illegal alien criminals who came into our country under the previous administration. This is some of the most disturbing crimes you will ever read about. And there's only a few reporters in this room who will actually talk about these individuals. This is all ICE is trying to do. They are trying to remove people like this from Governor Walz's state. And so, yes, he should pick up the phone and he should say that he will cooperate with this president and with the federal government in making Minnesota safer, because that's all President Trump and his administration want to do. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. The president says he wants money to go directly to Americans so they can buy their own insurance. How exactly would this work? And can the president assure Americans that this will be enough to cover their healthcare costs?
So this is the second principle in the president's healthcare plan, lowering insurance premiums specifically and ensuring that that money is going directly back to the American people and cutting the kickbacks that then raise those premiums. So this plan, once put into legislative text and passed by Congress and sent to the president's desk, will stop sending big insurance companies billions of an extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice through, you may have heard it be referred to as health savings accounts. Whether that ends up being the actual name of such accounts, we'll have to see. Again, Congress and the White House are going to work together to put this plan into action. And then secondly, the Great Healthcare Plan will fund a cost-sharing reduction program for healthcare plans, which will save taxpayers at least $36 billion and reduce the most common Obamacare plan premiums by over 10%. And that's according to the Congressional Budget Office.
20 million Americans in recent weeks have seen their healthcare costs soar. Can he assure them that if this plan is put in place, that they will be able to cover those costs?
If this plan is put in place, every single American who has healthcare in the United States will see lower costs as a result. They will see more transparency. All of these proposals that are within the Great Healthcare Plan are incredibly popular with the American people, and they will impact everyone, not just a small fraction of those who are within the healthcare marketplace, but every single American will continue to see their costs go down. And I will note that they already are with respect to prescription drug prices. When you look at what the president has done with most favored nations, you've seen these big pharmaceutical companies in the Oval Office saying that this president and his team were nonstop around the clock pressuring us and negotiating with us to lower the cost of prescription drugs for Americans. And we are already seeing that to the tune, in some cases, of more than 500%. And that Trump RX website is something that the administration will be formally not launching very soon, so Americans will have access to those lower costs of drugs.
Okay. Well, what about health insurance?
Called on credit card companies to lower cap rate 10% effective the 20th next week. If they don't do that, what's his? What'll he do? What's the threat?
Well, tariffs? No, I'm just kidding. The president certainly has an expectation, Josh, that the credit card companies will do this, just as he did with the pharmaceutical companies, that they will lower costs for American consumers. I don't have a specific consequence to outline for you, but certainly this is an expectation and, frankly, a demand that the president has made.
Can you give us an update on the Fed? Sorry. There was some reporting from, I think, Fox Business that Rick Reeder had an interview this week scheduled. The president's indicated he's already made a selection, or at least some kind of, he's settling on someone. Where is he in that process, and when can we expect an announcement? Is he still doing interviews?
Look, the president is in the same place as you all have been asking about this for many, many weeks. He's in a decision-making phase. There are a few people who he likes very much for this job, maybe less than that. The truth is, like with all decisions, it's a decision for the president to make. And he said to Reuters in that interview last night that he thinks he'll be finally making that decision in the next couple of weeks. So we will see.
And very quickly, there's been some criticism from other governments about Grok and XAI, the Twitter AI bot, and things it's been doing to manipulate images, including whether that would violate the Take It Down Act that the First Lady just supported. We've not heard from this administration on it. Elon Musk says that they've disabled that, but I wanted to ask you whether the administration has a position and whether that's something that you will be pursuing, or whether the president's talked to Mr. Musk about that.
Yes, I will talk to the Office of Science and Technology, and we will get you a firm statement and answer on exactly where the administration stands. I don't want to speak on that without speaking with the experts on it. Yes.
Just to follow up on the health care plan, one of the things in the Affordable Care Act was coverage of pre-existing conditions. Is there any discussion or inclusion on that issue in the president's plan?
The president's plan that he outlined today will have no impact on individuals in this country with pre-existing conditions. Obviously, that's a continued conversation that the White House will have with Congress, but that's not the president's intention with the Great Healthcare Plan. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. Two questions on Minneapolis.
And then you, go ahead.
Two questions on Minneapolis,
Sure.
one on the ICE agent, the other on the rioting. I believe last night there were protesters or rioters that rifled through an FBI car, took weapons. We had a reporter embedded with ICE who said that she saw constant harassment all evening. Can you speak to the rhetoric we're hearing from Democrat politicians, whether they are causing violence against ICE, as well as some of the headlines we've seen, not including the full story?
Yeah, I mean, to your first point, I think I've addressed that these Democrat governors and mayors in not just Minnesota, but in states across the country are essentially, they've referred to ICE agents who, again, are brave men and women. And I would encourage everyone in this room, and I would encourage Governor Walz and other Democrats who are demeaning law enforcement to sit down and have a cup of coffee with an ICE agent or a Border Patrol agent. These are great, patriotic men and women who have families, who put on the uniform every day and are following our nation's immigration laws at the direction of their bosses and again, at the direction of the law. They are simply trying to enforce the law. And the Democrat Party has demeaned these individuals. They've even referred to them as Nazis and as the Gestapo. And that is absolutely leading to the violence we're seeing in the streets. If you look at some of the images out of Minneapolis last night, look at this vehicle. Look at what it says. It says F ICE. You have these individuals who are putting their middle finger, proudly so, at the camera. Another ICE individual, a vehicle that was vandalized last night by these left-wing agitators. People don't do this without encouragement from people in power who make them feel like it's okay. Here's another one. And I'm pretty sure this car, you can't see it, said the best agent is a dead agent or something to that effect. This is despicable rhetoric that we're seeing. And the media is absolutely complicit in this violence, because if you look at the headline from CNN, protests erupt after federal agent shoots man in Minneapolis, that is not the story. That is not the truth. If you actually want to know the truth, you can look at what the Department of Homeland Security released, which is that this ICE agent was executing a targeted operation against a Venezuelan illegal alien who was unlawfully present in the country, who fled by car and then fled by foot. And when this ICE agent tried to detain the individual, 3 more of his comrades came rushing out of a house and started ambushing and attacking the ICE agent. They used a shovel or a broom to smash his face in. And so, yes, that agent had to use self-defense and take up his weapon to protect his own life. That is what's happening on the streets of Minneapolis. That's what's happening on the streets, unfortunately, of these Democrat-run cities and states where you have elected officials who are encouraging such violence against our brave men and women in law enforcement.
Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions. First, a follow-up on one of my colleagues who asked you about the president's interview with lawyers. You said that he was joking about canceling the elections, but Americans for generations have fought and died for democracy, for this democracy. Are you saying that the president finds the idea of canceling elections funny?
Andrew, were you in the room? No, you weren't. I was in the room. I heard the conversation. And only someone like you would take that so seriously and pose it as a question that way.
Second,
Caroline,
next
Thank you, Caroline. Senator Elizabeth Warren said that the president called her earlier this week to discuss caps on credit card interest rates. I'm curious, would the president work with her and other Democrats in Congress on a legislative fix to this issue?
I think the president would work in good faith with anyone in Congress for a good legislative fix that would benefit the American people. And that's precisely why he called Senator Warren earlier this week on that matter.
Thanks, Caroline. Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally. And earlier on, Secretary Nolan spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 US citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my
Yeah.
opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed it unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're
Wow.
not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist.
What?
And it's so clear by the premise of your question.
You can't have an
And
opinion?
you and the people in the media
Wow.
have such biases, but fake. Like, you're a journalist. You shouldn't even be sitting in that seat.
What
But
planet?
you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Lake and Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power
She about to leave.
remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist. Kelly.
Oh, it looked like she was about to leave.
On Iran, I wanted to ask first, if you can say, how close was the president to potentially launching strikes last night, and was it the Gulf states that convinced him not to do that, as some in the region there have said?
Well, that
Kelly,
happened.
I know there's been a lot of speculation in the media about what the president is going to do at any given moment or any given night. And I would say a lot of these stories, to be honest with you, I've been reading them, and they've been based on anonymous sources who are pretending or guessing to know the president's thinking. The truth is, only President Trump knows what he's going to do, and a very, very small team of advisors are read into his thinking on that. And as I just told you, he continues to closely monitor the situation on the ground in Iran. And as we saw yesterday, he had heard that the killings and executions would stop. And we have seen 800 people, their lives have been spared as a result of that. The president continues to closely monitor, but also keep all of his options on the table.
Caroline, two separate questions.
Sure.
On the Machado meeting first, what is it that the president feels that he needs to hear from her or from the opposition party that he hadn't heard prior to today, or he wanted to hear in the meeting, to be able to convince him to commit to some sort of a timeline for elections?
I'm not sure the president is going into such the meeting with expectations like you just laid out, Fran. I don't think he needs to hear anything from Ms. Machado. I think generally this is a meeting that the president was willing to take and willing to accept, to meet Ms. Machado in person and to just have a frank and positive discussion about what's taking place in Venezuela. That's all.
And get that Nobel Peace Prize.
Jeff Landry, the president's special envoy for Greenland, wasn't in the White House meeting yesterday. Can you say why that was and what exactly the role he is playing in these conversations about acquiring Greenland?
Well, the vice president and the secretary of state were present for that meeting. And the meeting, it was a productive meeting. It was a good meeting. And in that meeting, the two sides agreed to really establish a working group of individuals who will continue to have technical talks on the acquisition of Greenland. Those talks will take place, I'm told, every 2 to 3 weeks. So this is a conversation the administration intends to keep having with the Danes and with the respected delegation from Greenland. But the president has made his priority quite clear. He wants the United States to acquire Greenland. He thinks it's in our best national security to do that.
There have been multiple instances of American citizens being detained by ICE, and I'm wondering what the administration is asking the agency to do, or what steps is the administration asking the agency to take to ensure that Americans are not wrongly arrested?
Obviously, ICE is focused on detaining individuals who are unlawfully present in the country. And there have been hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens who have been arrested and detained and deported from this country by ICE over the course of the last year. And that's their intention, and that is their goal.
Elizabeth. Thank you, Caroline. What about Greenland? You reportedly sent troops over there. Does that change at all what the president is doing on this? And then a second question. Yesterday, in a Senate Health hearing, Senator Josh Hawley repeatedly asked a doctor if men can get pregnant, and she did not directly answer that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, to your first question on Greenland, I don't think troops in Europe impact the president's decision-making process, nor does it impact his goal of the acquisition of Greenland at all. To your second question, I mean, anyone in their right mind with common sense who's speaking honestly and candidly will say that men cannot get pregnant. And I think I can attest to that myself. So thank you all very much.
Wow. That was so that was a thing. That was so that happened. What y'all think? What y'all think? She just went unhinged on, and of course, Riley and her baby, I'm assuming, and I'm sure they're all going to be going in there in the back backstage with Caroline. But what you think? That happened. That was a press conference. I hate to say it, but most of it lies. Most of it just a fabrication and a lot of word salad. I think it's really messed up that you can't have an opposing view in the same room as like MAGA. You realize that's crazy, right? That you can't have an opposing view. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. We all have our own opinions. We all saw what happened to Renee Good. Some of y'all think it was justified. Some of y'all think it's unjustified. We all have opinions. We all should have the right to those types of opinions, right? And those opinions have a right to be heard. Like what I think they want to do, which is obviously something that they've been working on for a long time, but they are trying to make sure that that entire room is filled with MAGA. That's it. They don't want any person having any type of pushback to these press conferences. And no, I don't care that she's pregnant. I mean, I get that she's pregnant. Great. Good on her. Congratulations on the pregnancy. But she has to answer these questions no matter what, whether she's pregnant or not. You see what I'm saying? What, you're just going to be nice, and just give these the likes of press secretary Caroline Leavitt just the niceties? People need to know what's going on, even those that are against what happened or against Trump. You have to have both sides of the spectrum and both sides of the political aisle in the media, pit. You can't just sit there and go, oh, no. Oh, that's why you're a loser leftist. You're crazy and deranged, and you shouldn't even be here. That's messed up. That's wrong. And I would say the same doggone thing if the shoe was on the other foot. Trust and believe, I'd be saying the same doggone thing if the shoe was on the other foot. If this was a Democrat-run administration and you have a right-leaning person asking a question, doesn't matter how wild it is. If that's their opinion, that's their opinion. You answer the question as best as possible. But here's the thing. There is no decency anymore. There's no chivalry in the political game anymore. There are no manners. There is no ethics. Have you not seen that as of late? Am I the only one who's seeing this? I'm just pulling up some playback, just not playing it, but you get what I'm saying. All right. I mean, we don't live in that world anymore. Okay. We don't. Both sides suck. Both sides are trying to say, I got big balls. You know what I'm saying? It's a pissing contest left and right. And then, but at the same time, like I remember there was a time of decadence. Remember that? A time of decadence, right? When there were people who were kind and gentlemanly to each other, right? We don't live in that world anymore. And I don't mean gentlemanly in that way. I mean, like I couldn't think of the word, right? But there was niceties. There was manners. There we go. Manners. And you answered things in a diplomatic manner. Sure, it'll probably sound like word salad no matter what, but it's not this. That was wild. Now, we didn't really get a whole lot of answers there. We didn't. It's kind of like, okay, we're giving you as much transparency, but the transparency really is just her going, well, he did have an conversation with this, that, and the third, and we can't really tell you much about it right now. And as you can see, with everything that's going on with Greenland, doesn't look like anything's going to be changing. Nothing's going to be changing Trump's mind about that. President Trump is stuck on his thoughts and his vision of taking Greenland. She was like, it doesn't matter if European troops are over there. Doesn't matter if you got German troops, boots on the ground on Greenland soil. It's not going to change Trump's opinion. They're going to take it, whether they like it or not. Now, the Insurrection Act, when it comes to him maybe invoking the Insurrection Act, it looks like it's about to go down. I really think that it's going to go down no matter what way we look at it. I think that is definitely going to happen. Whether we want it to happen or not, it's going to happen. Because let's be real. Trump wants, from what we're seeing, Trump doesn't mind seeing the chaos in the streets. Let's be real. We can all agree on that. I feel like there would be a different approach to certain things, but at the same time, we're not seeing that. And there's a lot of people that are very upset and very angry and big, huge, visceral reaction to everything that's going on right now. And we got America starting to get on fire. And then we got all this other chaos going on in various necks of the world, right? So we'll see what happens here. But it's about to get wild. And I don't want it to go wild. But as you guys already know, last night, and I didn't go back on late last night, one, because by the time I got done taking care of what I needed to take care of, all the live feeds were done. It's like everyone went home in a way, which I'm really happy that they did, instead of it just continuing on into the very, very late hours or the wee early mornings of last night. So I'm happy that people went home and feeds were turned off, and everyone just kind of was like, all right, it's time to go. But one thing is for sure, a man was actually hit. A man was actually shot. That is very sure. ICE is still out there in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, and they are showing up in other cities right now, guys. They are in other cities. They're starting to slowly trickle in other areas within the Midwest. Just letting y'all know. They're starting to show up in other cities. It's happening. They're showing up, y'all. Doesn't matter if databases have been leaked and have been put out here. I'm just letting you know this stuff is out here. These ICE agents are out here and they're showing up. Now, have they shown up in Chicago? I haven't heard anything yet. Okay, like a mass amount of ICE agents showing up in Chicago, but they are showing up in various cities right now as we speak, outside of Minnesota. So if you're in the areas, keep your eyes peeled. Stay safe out there. If you're going to protest, I know I sound like a broken record, but please protest peacefully. But here's something. Talked about it near the end of the show last night because it was breaking as we were starting to end the show. A man was actually hit. A man was actually hit. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If these allegations and the stories are true, because they say that this guy, we just heard more details from Caroline Levitt, but allegedly this person attacked, retaliated against one of these ICE agents with a shovel, and then he got shot in the leg. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Do we expect anything otherwise? Given the fact that what we saw with Renee Good, do we expect anything otherwise? You don't think, especially when the DHS and the powers that be came out and said, hey, just so you know, ICE agents have full immunity. They could do whatever the hell they want. They can do whatever they want. Full immunity. So they're always in the right, no matter what. Doesn't matter what happened to Renee Nicole Good, whether that was justified or not, doesn't matter. It is a blanketed response. They have full immunity. They can't get touched. They are untouchables, y'all. And what's even more insane is that these untouchable individuals are also untouchable because they're covering their faces. So if they were to do something illegal, unlawful, you can't even report that to anybody. You can't say, oh, yeah, I got his badge number. It was badge number XY734510. Can't do that. Nope. Can't. There is no identity to these guys. They can do whatever the F they want. That is I have a huge problem with that, guys. I don't know about you guys, but I have a massive problem about that. Okay? Massive. Now, let's just take a look at this. This is also talking about the shooting that happened last night. Again, you don't go. I'm just telling you right now, this ain't bootlicking. This is common sense right here, because apparently that's the new phrase of the year too. Common sense, or the phrase of the new phrase of last year, right? Because it was 2025 when he said about common sense. But here's the thing: common sense would tell you go and attack an ICE officer, especially after everything that just happened with Renee Good. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they went and pew-pewed. Went bang, bang. I'm not surprised anymore. So don't attack ICE. Keep your doggone hands to yourselves, y'all. It's not going to end good. Or actually, proper English. It's not going to end well, love. It shall not end in a good way. So don't do it. Damn. Let's take a look at this.
And this massive deployment can come to an end. We have filed litigation to hopefully make it so. And at the same time, I'm deeply concerned that we don't have that kind of time. This is already the second shooting that we've had in a week. People are scared. The atmosphere is tense. But again,
actually, if you really think about it, holy cow, he's not wrong. Because today's Thursday. Yesterday would mark one whole week since Renee Good lost her life. Do you realize how crazy that is? That we have another tragedy that just happened. Or, this is a tragic moment. The guy is still alive. He's going to be able to hobble and live his life, right? He'll just be hobbling through life for a little while, right? If not permanently. But he's still alive to tell the tale. As he's back in Venezuela because he's about to get his ass deported. But that's the second one in a week, y'all. Second one. We got things to look at, y'all, because there's something I wanted to show you yesterday, but then there was the breaking news and all that. So we have many miles to go before we sleep. Okay? Robert Frost. Let's move on.
There is another option. We can stop going down this route together.
Minneapolis leaders once again pleading for calm after ICE agents shoot and injure another person in the city. Federal officials say that agent was, quote, ambushed before pulling the trigger.
Well, this happened last night in the Hawthorne neighborhood on the north side of the city, and it prompted violent protests that lasted well into the night.
Bill Keller, Live Force in Minneapolis with what we know about this developing story. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, that shooting triggered another tense and chaotic scene in Minneapolis following another violent confrontation involving ICE agents. Last night's shooting happening in a residential neighborhood. This is near Lyndale and 24th Avenue. It's in the city's near north side. According to Homeland Security, ICE agents were conducting a traffic stop. This is around 7 o'clock last night. They say they were targeting a man from Venezuela who is living in the U.S. illegally. They say he drove off, eventually crashed into a parked car before running off on foot. DHS says that a federal officer tried to make an arrest, but the man resisted, attacking that officer. Officials say that two people then came out of a nearby home and also began assaulting the officer with a shovel and a broom handle. That's when the agent opened fire, striking the man in the leg. All three ran inside. We're told that the suspect was taken to the hospital and is expected to survive. The two other alleged attackers, they were taken into custody. As for the officer, he was also taken to the hospital for treatment. Again, this is the account and the information coming from Homeland Security. City leaders holding a news conference late last night to address the shooting.
American citizens, by the way, many of them, are terrified because American citizens are getting picked up off the street by people in masks. That's not the way things should be conducted in any city in America. That's not who we are. That's not America.
You know what's interesting about this? Remember there was a time that Republicans were losing their minds over wearing masks? Remember that? Let's just go all the way back really quick. 5 years ago. Now 6. 6 years ago. Remember there was a time when Republicans lost their freaking minds about having to wear masks out here at stores and whatnot because of that Rona and everything. And now they're embracing the hell out of these masks. Don't you find that interesting? I'm just an observation. Just an observation. You know what I mean? Let's move.
So I'm calling for peace. Everybody has a role in achieving that peace.
Yeah, minutes after the shooting happened, though, protesters began gathering at the scene, and Minneapolis police say that the demonstrations turned violent. They say that people were throwing things, setting off fireworks, throwing rocks, even chunks of ice at both Minneapolis police and those federal agents. The officers used tear gas to try and disperse the crowd. During the chaos, one man says ICE agents targeted his vehicle while his 6 children were inside. He says there was a flashbang that was so powerful it set off his airbags.
Officers threw flashbangs and tear gas in my car and made I got 6 kids in the car.
Why? But here's the thing: I got to ask the questions, right? Is this guy a protester, or was he just in the neighborhood trying to get home? And these ICE agents just assumed that he was a protester, and then they threw the canister in his car. That's wild. And he's very lucky that none of them got injured. But here's the other thing too. Just to say this as a caution, because you never know. Maybe this guy was following ICE in his ride. But let me tell you, don't get your kids involved. You see ICE and you got a whole car filled with kids, take your ass home. Sorry. Take care of those kids, because you know that these guys, these ICE agents, they are lawless. Remember that, guys. They are lawless. They can do whatever the hell they want. Why are we looking at this stuff and be like, yeah, we can, let's just say he was doing that. I don't know. We don't know. He may have just been trying to just take his kids home. But imagine if he was following ICE around, honking and stuff, being a part of this whole thing with his kids in the back of the car. Come on now. If that's the case, please don't bring your kids to situations like that. Please don't. That's it. That's it. But let's hear what he got to say. Hopefully he wasn't a protester. He was just trying to drive home. But if he was driving and bothering ICE, come on, man, right?
My 6-month-old can't even breathe. My 2-year-old then flipped out the damn car. This was flipped over.
And if that's the case, because General Ginobili just said he was trying to leave to take his kids to safety. He lives there. So thank you so much for telling me that. But I had to say that other part because, of course, that would be absolutely asinine if you're driving around with your kids in the back of the ride. But if he actually lived in the area and all he was doing was trying to get away, that's the thing. Don't they have training for other people? Like, I feel like you see it in the movies, right? You see the guy getting trained to be an FBI agent or something like that. And it'll be like they're going through a course and they'll see pedestrians, like a pop-up, like one of those wooden pop-ups. It's showing a guy with his kid trying to run. Okay, he's a pedestrian. You know what I mean? Like, don't they should be teaching ICE that too, so that they know the difference between mother lovers that are actually trying to get the hell out of the situation, or mother lovers that are actually trying to be a part of the situation. You see what I'm saying? But they're just shooting blindly. We've already seen that. Countless videos that are out here. That's bad. But let's continue.
My car filled with tear gas. I'm trying to pull my kid out the car.
Yeah, that man says that his family was simply trying to leave the area when they were attacked. He says his wife told Fox 9 that their 6-month-old infant had actually stopped breathing and lost consciousness at one point. We're told they were transported by ambulance, and they are currently in the hospital being treated.
That's ridiculous. But welcome to the crap that we are seeing now every day. And now you're talking about littles. You're talking about the kids, y'all. That's when I got a problem. I mean, I've already got a problem with all this crap that's going on. But real talk, now you got kids involved. And now a kid is in the hospital right now in really bad shape because of what ICE did, instead of actually knowing what the hell was going on. Oh, no. Yeah, General Genobi, I know I don't normally take the super chats, but I need to grab this one too. Stories out there. Training was 4 weeks online. Don't worry, we're going to look at something, baby. We got some things to look at, baby, because I learned something very new and something very interesting about their vetting process, their recruiting process on ICE hopefuls. Oh, don't you worry. We are going to be looking at something that is absolutely nuck and futz in just a minute. But one thing is for sure. You got innocent people that have nothing to do with any of this crap. They're just trying to live. They're just trying to coexist within this chaos. And the people that live in those neighborhoods where ICE is marching down and just going door to door and raiding these homes, which they are doing that, which is unlawful, but they apparently can do this. I don't know what loophole legally they're able to do that, but apparently they can, right? There are people that actually live in those neighborhoods that have nothing to do with that. Like, that have nothing. They just want to live. They want to pay their bills. They want to keep their kids alive. They want to see their kids grow, and that's it. But they're stuck in the middle of this chaos. Stuck in the middle of this crap. But they're also getting hit in the crossfire. They're also being looked at as people who are trying to protest or do something bad. ICE should know better too. ICE should know better. People who are trying to run to their cars to get the hell out of the situation. You see what I'm saying? They're doing a blanketed response to every person. Every person is not even a civilian anymore. All of them are domestic terrorists. Think about that for a second. And if that's happening right here or right there in Minneapolis, it's coming to a theater near you, y'all. You got ICE agents showing up in various cities. It's a small trickle, but it will be a tidal wave. There will be an ice storm coming to your city. St. Louis is already getting hit with an ice storm. Real talk. It's a sleeting. It's like a sleeting of ice. But it's happening. So again, this is insane. Insane. So there is something I want to share with you guys, because this is also crazy. And I'm going to be real. There are people there are conservatives that are actually like demanding the arrest of a particular man who said that he's going to be he's going to be showing up suited and booted. Okay. He said, hey, we have to show up with these pew-pews and end this by any means necessary. They are quoting Malcolm X, y'all. You got white people, brown people, etc. now quoting Malcolm mother-loving X. I tell you what, this is insane. And again, this is exactly what people have been saying. I saw a TikTok, or not a TikTok, I saw this on Instagram. A person saying, do you remember those times when you were growing up and you just asked your mom for like 5 more minutes to sleep? There's a black woman who said this too. She's like, okay, you it's time to go to school, but you beg your mom to sleep like 5 more minutes, right? But she keeps on saying, get up. You need to get your clothes on. You need to get the breakfast in you so you can get out there on that bus. And you don't listen. So you take that 5 extra minutes, but it ends up being more than just 5 extra minutes. And next thing you know, your mom is jamming the food down your throat, trying to get your clothes on so that you can get in the car while she's cursing you out, taking you to school because you missed your damn bus, right? And all the while, you're just in hell because you should have listened and not taken those 5 minutes. So now she says, this is the wake-up call for white people. We've been told you not to take those 5 minutes. And now the ish has hit the fan. And now we're cursing you out. Now you're understanding. Now it's like, hey, you late for the bus, you late to school. Now we got to carry your ass. Look at what you're doing. You asked for 5 minutes. We've been warned you guys about this crap. And now it has happened and it's completely materialized in front of your face. And now you're turning to the black community and going, oh yeah, you got to, damn, you have a point there. Damn, everything's effed up. You ain't wrong. You see what I'm saying? So that's what some people are saying out here in these streets. You got white protesters out here saying that too. Damn, you got a point, black community. I didn't know it was like that, but it is. It is though. You see what I'm saying? So now you got people out here being like, oh, now it's our problem. And now they're quoting Malcolm Mother Loving X. By any means necessary, we need to show up suited and booted. But there are black communities and protesters in the past that looked absolutely nuck and futz. This is what people are saying now. Interesting, huh? Let's take a look at this. But this is the guy, I can't believe, and I don't condone this. I don't condone violence. Okay? Violence begets more violence, period. We got to find a way to do this peacefully, not run with a shovel at some of these ICE agents, not try to use weapons on these individuals. We got to find a better way to do this. And I know some people feel like retaliation needs to be done with force, but I'm telling you right now, that's not going to make anything better. It's going to turn these streets into a mother-loving civil war. And I don't want to see that. Do you?
With no cause and murdering people for trying to flee and for obeying a command to leave the area and then shooting her in the face like that after she drops her kid off at school. We have to show up with guns. We have to. There's no other way around it. I don't care if I don't have a Minnesota carry permit. I'm unarmed right now, but this is the last time I show up to face these guys without a weapon.
Do you know how many other people that are listening to this and thinking the same doggone thing? What did I say a couple days ago? Real talk, a couple days ago, I said, I really hope it doesn't go to that next level. And if it means that you got the likes of other people out here in these streets toting pew-pews, we're in a world of trouble. And I worry for the safety of these protesters, but I also worry and fear for the safety of these innocent bystanders, the ones that live in these homes, in these apartment complexes, so on and so forth, possibly catching a stray bullet solely because people feel like they need to show up with weapons for this situation. We are already seeing people showing up with AR-15s just strapped on their chest, just sitting there like this all day long, chilling in the cut. We're already seeing that too, y'all. Are we ready for this to take a whole other, to take this to a whole other level? I worry about the kids, y'all. Another thing I want to say before I continue playing this, there were families, innocent families, choking in their own homes because of the amount of tear gas, the amount of gas canisters, whatever those things were, deployed in their own neighborhood. Innocent people that aren't outside saying F ICE or anything. They're just trying to live their lives and keep their kids safe. That's it. And unfortunately, they're getting a whole lot of problems choking to death in their own homes because of the stuff that's constantly getting deployed in these streets. These ICE agents don't give a damn about the fact that there are families in these homes, whether legal or not. They're also getting feeling the wake of ICE showing up, right? But let me play a little bit more. But again, we got a poll coming.
There's no way. I got shot with a pepper ball 5 minutes after walking in here. I never laid a finger on them. I never raised a hand to them. I've only been using my voice. The time for speaking is over. The time for niceties is over. The time for peace is over. They fired the first shot. It is time to end this shit by any means necessary.
You're talking about, potentially going to a dark place in this country. Do you foresee
We're there. This is the dark place. This is the dark time. We have people being sent to Salvadorian concentration camps. We got other countries being raided for their oil. We're in the dark time. There's no way out of this. There's no voting our way out of this. We can't wait till November. There's no waiting to the ballot box. We need to get to the bullet box.
Now, what's interesting, that's insane, by the way. This is insane. And I also want to say this, too. He's got a point about, I don't agree about bringing in the pew-pews. I don't agree with that. That's just me. But I did put up a poll. Let me know your thoughts, okay? I don't think that that's the best way. Because, again, violence begets violence. Just them showing up with these weapons, it's like a really, really messed up, what is the I'm forgetting hold on. Hold on. Okay. Yes. I forgot the name, but it's like the foreshadowing. Like, okay. So let me explain this really quick. All right. One, Venice. Violence begets violence. That's what I was trying to say. Violence begets violence. But here's a rule. Okay. A rule of thumb in every movie. I'm about to ruin every movie you've ever seen, at least the really good ones. Okay. There's an old Chekhov theory or rule of thumb when it comes to writing a script or making a movie. As soon as you introduce the pew-pew in the first act. If you show and produce and show a weapon in the first act, that weapon will be fired by the third act. Now, I know that's really cheesy, okay, some nerdy theater screenwriting crap, but that is a rule of thumb, okay? Everyone uses it. As soon as you see the guy oh my gosh, there's a weapon in his glove compartment, it will be fired at some point during the duration of the movie. Now, I'm trying to click and drag that analogy into this situation. As soon as people start showing up with these pew-pews, they're going to start getting fired. Eventually, in the course of this tragic movie that we're seeing in real time, those weapons will go off. It is a full-on Chekhov theory. Anton Chekhov, he's a infamous playwright. He had a theory, or he had a rule of thumb. You show a weapon in the first act. That weapon needs to be used by the third or before the end of the play. That's it. Now everyone uses that same model. Look at what we're hearing right now. If he shows up with a pew-pew, other people are going to show up with pew-pews. And if all of these other people show up with pew-pews, those triggers will be pulled. I'm not okay with that. Are you? I'm telling you right now, this will be a tidal wave of bad. It's not going to be good. It's only going to make things worse. Then we're going to have insurrection acts in Minnesota and in other cities, in other states throughout the country. Do we want that? I'll tell you what. No, we don't. We don't. Yes, I get by any means necessary. I get that whole thing. But at the same time, we got to find a different way of getting things done. We do. Now, I also want to point this other thing out too, okay? Let me just point this out. And Eric, thank you so much, okay? Thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Enjoy listening to the show in the background, okay? Hopefully you're, I don't know, making food or working or whatever, okay? Hopefully I'm accompanying you during a very boring time at work, okay? Or during your day. Hopefully you're entertained. But here's the thing. We get a tidal wave of this crap. It's going to be a tidal wave of reaction, and it's all going to be negative. It's not a good thing. It's going to be very, very, very bad, guys. Okay? And yes, I am very aware about what Trump said about the midterms. We're going to circle into that conversation here in just a minute. But like I said, this type of thing, let me tell you something. During the time of Malcolm X, there was also Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, yes, he was out there. He was doing it peaceful. And yes, there were people out there that sat there saying, who gives a damn about we shall overcome? Who cares about that, Martin? You know what I mean? MLK? We don't give a damn about that. We need change. Hence the reason why you had the complete antithesis from Malcolm X. Malcolm X in the very beginning was all about peace. Then he changed. Then he went back to peace afterwards, after he did his pilgrimage. Okay? When he went to Mecca, then he came back. I know a lot about Malcolm X. Don't ask. He was a huge fascination of mine when I was a kid. So, and I did a lot of reports about him in school. It was interesting sending these papers about Malcolm X to my white teachers. It was interesting. I will say that, but nonetheless. All right. He at some point said, no, we must fight fire with fire. Right? People were really rocking, or at least the government started to look over at Martin Luther King. Why were they looking at Martin Luther King Jr.? He was willing at least to sit down and have conversations. Yes, he was doing, he believed in the by any means necessary approach too, but he wanted to do it through peace. Who's going to be more of an easier person to listen to and try to negotiate or try to invoke change? One that's holding ARs and suited and booted, ready to pull that trigger, or someone who's out there trying to do all this peacefully and is willing to have those hard conversations and answer those hard questions so that we as a people can move forward. And near the end of Malcolm X's life, he finally realized, before he was, taken out, he finally realized it was about peace. It was about brotherhood. It was about being connected from all of us. Doesn't matter what color of the rainbow you are, that we are all brothers and sisters on this big, huge blue marble spinning around this hot ball of fire. He realized that near the end of his life, and he wanted to change things, and he wanted to go through with peace. Like I said, retaliation like this will not work. And I may sound crazy, but it won't. We need to continue going forward with peace. The violence can only go for so long. The bloodshed can only go for so long. At some point, a conversation needs to be had. You understand what I'm saying, guys? You can't sit there and keep on screaming at each other all day long. You're not going to get anywhere. Next thing you know, it's just going to be bodies, 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 him. Do we want that? No, we don't. So by any means necessary, with peace, how's that?
That's the only way. If there was another way, I'd be advocating for it. I've spoken peacefully. I've marched peacefully. I marched without Sharpton. I marched on Washington. I've been peaceful. I've acted peacefully. The time for peace is over. The time for any means necessary is right now.
I mean, that's a powerful, powerful message.
I'm sorry. I get it. You know, we are all angry. We are all frustrated on both sides of the aisle, right? There are people out here that's like, just let ICE do what they're doing. You know what I mean? ICE, ICE, baby, right? And then there's other people like him that are sitting here going, enough is enough. This is BS. I'm telling you right now, retaliation will only beget more violent retaliation will only beget a response in violence. And you got to remember, no one's stopping this president. No one's stopping President Trump. Let me just put that in your minds for a second. You realize that he's still Teflon Don? He's untouchable right now. You got other countries that are begging for the same type of thing that he did in Venezuela to happen overseas as well. You see what I'm saying? There are people that are looking at the situation. They're like, oh, damn, he gangsta. Word, he gangsta, baby. Let's get it. And they're going, come on, come over here. Come to Iran. Please help us. Please, please. There are corners of the world that are praising him for what he is doing overseas in other countries. I mean, they're clearly not seeing what's going on in these streets right now. And it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get bigger. People have time. People are finding time. And that's a massive, massive deal. But here's the thing. I know you guys have been spamming the chat about me talking about this, and we are going to talk about it because nonetheless, Trump is basically saying that he wants to get rid of midterm elections. So, but here's the thing. I want to pull up this clip too, because this is pretty insane as well. First and foremost, hold on, sorry. There it is. I want to share this with you guys first. Just something from Reuters, because this is exactly where they've been getting this from. Okay. So where is it? Where did it go? Hold on. I overshot it. Managing midterm expectations. So the president has expressed frustration that his Republican Party could lose control of the U.S. House of Representatives or the Senate in this year's midterm elections, citing historical trends that have seen the party in power lose seats in the second year of a presidency. Yes, historically, if the president is a Democrat, for example, and he's blue, suddenly the House will gain more red than blue. The Senate will lose a bunch of blue senators, and there suddenly will be an uptick of red senators being brought in, right? So this is historically true. Doesn't mean that it's instantly a reflection of his performance or how he's been doing as the president of the United States. But I feel that this midterm election, he is really worried because the general consensus, at least that's been out here in these streets, people are feeling some type of way about how he has been handling this situation. He has not been handling the situation in regards to what people think. The court of public opinion is very upset about how he's handling the country, not outside, domestic. Okay. So they feel like there's going to be a blue tsunami here, like what happened when the elections for his presidential elections. What happened? There was a red wave, and some people were doing backflips about it. A lot of people were doing backflips about it, but that also was a reflection on what was going on with our country as well. People were pissed and frustrated with the Biden administration, and that is true. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Biden sucked donkey balls. I said it. Nothing changed with him from what we saw. Things were really, really bad. Things got worse, actually. Not great. So he says it's some deep psychological thing, But when you win the presidency, you don't win the midterms, he said. He boasted that he had accomplished so much that when you think of it, we shouldn't even have an election. This is what he said during an interview with Reuters. Now, we go over to what Caroline just said from this press conference. She's saying he was merely joking about that. Take a listen.
My question is, President Trump has talked twice in recent days, once at the Kennedy Center and then to Reuters again last night about canceling the election. Why is he talking about this?
I believe you're referring to the president's interview at Reuters last night. I was in that interview. It was a closed-door interview. Obviously, there was not audio or video. The president was simply joking. He was saying, we're doing such a great job. We're doing everything the American people thought. Maybe we should just keep rolling. But he was speaking facetiously.
Wait just a second.
So he was saying that as a joke. He was saying that as a joke. Hold on. Let me see what this part is.
We have one more thing to share.
We want to say a heartfelt thank you for watching. And
okay, bye. But again, very short clip. All right. And again, she's like, oh, he was just joking. He's such a silly little sailor. He's just a silly little man. He's so silly. He was just saying that as a joke. Silly, 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 silly Donnie. So that's what's going on. Yeah. He's just joking. Okay. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. We still got time. Now, Kristi Noem, see how much I've grown? Yeah. Okay. Pronouncing her name correctly. Not gnome, like a garden gnome, but Noem, okay? Like, I didn't know him. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, Kristi Noem did something earlier today, too. She had a little presser. It's not very long, okay? Where she talked about what's going on in Minneapolis and all that. I'm sure she taps in on the conversation about the actual pew-pewing that happened last night as well. Let's take a listen to this. This is Kristi Noem last night.
In my discussions
or
with
this
Governor
morning,
Walz,
sorry.
And from what I've seen on his press gatherings, he still is not willing to work with our federal officers to bring peace to the streets of Minneapolis.
Secretary, do you have any plans to pull out of Minnesota?
No
And
plans
how
to
would
pull
you-
out of Minnesota.
and
We
how
are.
would you describe what you were seeing on the ground there? Would you describe?
They're not going anywhere, guys. ICE is not going anywhere. I think that they're using this, I think that they're using this as a testing ground for other cities. So they'll do an ice storm in Minneapolis, and they're going to be like, okay, let's troubleshoot. We made these mistakes. This, that, and the third happened. This shouldn't have happened. This worked. And then they're going to take the troubleshooting and they're going to reapply it to a whole other blue city. Wait for it. It's about to happen.
Describe it as an insurrection, and do you believe the president should invoke the Insurrection Act?
I describe it as violent and a violation of the law in many places. I discussed with the president this morning several things that we are dealing with under the department and different operations. We did discuss the Insurrection Act. He certainly has the constitutional authority to utilize that. My hope is that this leadership team in Minnesota will start to work with us to get criminals off the streets. Remember, we are there in surged operations because of the largest fraud scheme in American history. We had people stealing from taxpayers, stealing funds away from the most vulnerable individuals in this country, people who needed mental health services, developmental services, autism, daycare. Instead, individuals came in, much from the Somalian community, and stole dollars from those people who needed it and put it in their own pockets and enriched themselves. Did it right under Governor Walz's nose. And we believe that he didn't just know about it, that he may be complicit in it as well.
Do you believe
there are any cases in Minnesota where the ICE agents have gone too far?
Our ICE agents are following the law and running their operations according to training. Last night, what we saw was 3 individuals weaponize shovels and brooms and attack an ICE officer that had to defend himself. So we're hopeful that we don't see that again, that these protesters and violent rioters will be held accountable for the actions that they're taking, and that our officers can do their work safely.
What about that officer that you were mentioning? Can you give us an update on that ICE officer's condition after he was hit with the shovel? And then
You know,
also
he was-
we're seeing those cars looted in Minnesota. Can you provide an update on what the agency is going to do about that, and if you're concerned with the documents that were taken by those?
Well, I believe that those vehicles were FBI vehicles, not our Department of Homeland Security vehicles. So I'm not certain what documents were in there that those criminals may have taken and seen. But I would say that our agent is beat up, he's bruised, he's injured, he's getting treatment, and we're thankful that he made it out alive.
Secretary Noem, are you okay with federal agents and officers violating people's Fourth Amendment rights by asking for papers without reasonable suspicion?
Every single action that our ICE officers take is according to the law and following protocols that we have used for years, that this administration has used, that the previous administration used. They are doing everything correctly, and over again in litigation in the courts, we've proven that they've done the right
Why
thing.
is it within their right to do that? Why is
Yes,
it
go
within
ahead.
their right to ask for papers without reasonable suspicion?
With the president. Sorry, I'll let you come back to that. But you said you discussed the Insurrection Act with the president. Did you recommend that?
No, we just discussed it, that it was one of the options that he had constitutionally. And we talked about the fact that we're going to continue our operations in Minneapolis and have the resources that we need to get the job done.
Do you think politely invoke it?
Yes.
How many tankers is our Coast Guard tracking that are loose, and are any of them out of the Caribbean that you're tracking worldwide?
I can't speak to the specifics of the operation, although we are watching the entire shadow fleet and how they're moving. I'm very proud of our Coast Guard, how they've partnered with the Department of War to do unprecedented actions in bringing these flags under jurisdiction that often, or these ships under jurisdiction that in many instances aren't flagged or they're affiliated with a country moving this unauthorized oil to avoid our sanction policy.
Did the president say
Yes. What's that?
When like the video that was posted this morning, do you watch any of those operations?
Absolutely, I do.
Share them with the
Absolutely, I do.
president today?
Yes, absolutely, we do. We've haven't slept a lot lately between the Coast Guard operations, what they're doing in partnership with the Department of War in dealing with the shadow fleet. What we're also doing as far as operations with law enforcement across the country. The Department of Homeland Security is very busy.
Can you respond to
Yes.
Madam Secretary, perhaps to follow up? Why are we seeing Americans being asked on the street to provide proof of citizenship in Minnesota? Is that targeted enforcement? And are you advising Americans to carry proof of citizenship?
In every situation, we're doing targeted enforcement. If we are on a target and doing an operation, there may be individuals surrounding that criminal that we may be asking who they are and why they're there and having them validate their identity. That's
Hold on. Okay, hold on.
what we've always done, in asking people who they are so that we know who's in those surroundings. And if they are breaking our federal laws, we will detain them as well until we run that processing.
Hold on. Okay, that's not entirely true. Why are we seeing countless videos of them actually going up to people at at gas stations, people who are sitting in their cars, trying to get charging up their Teslas and stuff like that? Why is she saying that these are all targeted when that's not entirely true? Here's the other thing too. Yeah, not her, but ICE marching down these streets, going to these houses. I'm sure some of them, or a good majority of them, are actually targeted. They're targeting specific homes, right? It's not like they're just going to every single home and just barging into every single home going, do you have an illegal in your house? Show me where he is, right? But at the same time, though, they're still out here going to people randomly and going, oh, you're brown. Woo! That's a thick accent. You legal? Instantly. Ooh, he looks Somali. Where are you from, buddy? You see what I'm saying? So again, this is bad. And it's coming to other cities, guys. It's coming. It's already happening.
Yes. Say what the final straw.
I'm going to go right here.
Do you think that there needs to be an Insurrection Act invoked?
Oh, I think that the president has that opportunity in the future. It's his constitutional right, and it's up to him if he wants to utilize it.
She wants it to happen. That's what I think. I think everybody who is Team Trump, like on the administration, that's what they want. I literally think Lindsey Graham and the likes of Pete Hegseth are just literally just you know, chomping at the bit for this to happen. That's what I think. Fully take over the country. If they can take over Venezuela, if they could take over, like, let's say, the future, like Iran, Greenland, who's to say they couldn't take their own country? Ooh, that gives me chills. Ooh, that is creepy. That is really creepy if you really think about it. And no matter what, we're all screwed. Doesn't matter if you are illegal or if you were born in the USA, we'd be screwed.
Do it?
I don't know.
Would that
Could ask
inflate the
them.
situation? Would it lead to more deadly killings in Minnesota if the Insurrection Act is invoked?
If anything doesn't change with Governor Walz, I don't anticipate that the streets will get any safer or more peaceful. Governor Walz and his leadership team need to come to us and find out how we can work together like we have in many other states. We didn't see this kind of reaction in Louisiana when we ran our operations exactly how we are running them in Minneapolis, but we had a very different response because we had leaders that were working with us. If you saw our operations in Florida, extremely successful. In Minneapolis so far, we brought hundreds of criminals off the streets that were dangerous to society and dangerous to that community. We would wish that Governor Walz could take an example from the governor of Louisiana, the governor of Florida, and work with us to do the right thing for his people.
Your officers are dealing with more and more protesters. Do you think they need more de-escalation training, though, given some of the scenarios we have seen?
The officers that we have out there are very highly trained and skilled, specific for the operations that they're doing. They're utilizing the most gifted individuals on these operations to go out and to do enforcement, because many times if they're going after murderers, they're going after professionals and gangs and terrorists that are here in our country illegally. And I'll remind you, the only reason we're in this situation is because the Biden administration allowed 20 million people to come into this country unvetted. My every day is spent thinking about the known terrorists that are in this country that I just haven't found yet. The suspected terrorists, the criminals, the murderers, the pedophiles that are out there on the streets that we need to find and get off the streets because Joe Biden opened up our borders and allowed that invasion to happen. If you can imagine the kind of dysfunctional criminal gangs and organizations that use that open border as an opportunity to infiltrate America, it's overwhelming at times. And that's why President Trump is so strong at taking action and making sure he's in every single state, following through on his commitments to every single citizen.
Did the president say what his final straw would be to invoke the Insurrection Act if he did?
No, this president uses all the information and intelligence that he can get. That's why he calls me, he calls Pete, he calls local law enforcement. He talks to those individuals and agents as well that are involved that he knows well. This president makes fully informed decisions and utilizes his authorities when it's appropriate.
Are you worried that bringing in the military would
Machado is
inflame the
coming to the White
situation?
House today. Are you going to be in the meeting because a lot of illegals are from Venezuela?
I think
or are you going to talk with Delcy Rodriguez like Trump?
I think I have other commitments today. We are putting in the new commandant of the Coast Guard. He is having his swearing in ceremony, so I'll be doing that. And then I have some meetings with law enforcement. So I will not be in that meeting, but the president will keep me informed.
Yikes. And here's the other thing too. I'd be scared to even, like that reporter that was asking some questions and he has a very heavy accent. I'd be very worried because she's sitting there going, ooh, and you're brown. Are you legal? You see what I'm saying? I'd be scared to say anything. Like everybody should have work. Can you imagine? Every illegal out there starts working on their accent, like trying to sound as American as possible. Seriously? You know what I mean? Can you imagine that? That's sad. If you really, that's actually really sad. Like that's really sad if that came to the situation, right? Try to pass as best as they can. That would be absolutely insane. Diabolical, if you ask me. Okay? But would not be surprised if that was the case, just to be completely real. Now, there's some other things that we do need to look at. We're still on everything ICE, okay? But I do want to pull this up. Oh, man. First off, hold on. I'm taking down some of these windows because there's a lot. Sorry, guys, 1 second. One thing is for sure. There was a guy that actually was pew-pewed in the face. Let's not forget that. Dude lost his eye. Homeboy actually lost his mother-loving eye.
We have this story here.
Take a look.
21-year-old anti-ICE protester has been blinded after being shot during a local rally against the shooting death of Renee Good
Right
in
there.
Minnesota. That Friday night in Santa Ana turned violent. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez.
You saw that? So sorry, because things are about to get a little spicy here in a second. Foreshadowing, fair warning. But he got pew-pewed in the face by a pepper ball. His face is all the sight in his left eye is gone. Gone. Terrible.
Gonzalez live in downtown Santa Ana. Christina, you spoke to this protester.
Yeah, this morning while he was still in the hospital, he has just been released. He identifies himself as Caden Rumler. He's blind in one eye, he says, and he's sharing photos of his injuries. And I'm going to warn you, they're disturbing, but he wants to share them because he says he wants people to understand the difference between what he's saying happened and what Department of Homeland Security is saying. We also have as much video as we could of the incident. So here, take a look. Federal agents approach protesters during a Friday night rally in Santa Ana. Grab someone holding a loudspeaker and pull him away as other protesters move up, including one wearing a dark shirt who doubles over. The other protester wearing a white shirt struggles with officers.
Now, I'm curious, what did the guy do that was wrong? What did the guy do that was wrong? Why did they take the guy down? Like, I mean, obviously the guy who got hit, we now saw that, but I'm talking about the guy who was just there with the bullhorn. Why did they grab him? Why did they grab him? Did he throw something at them? Did he just gesticulate violently towards them? Did he have a deadly weapon in his hands? What did the dude do? Because to me, the dude didn't do anything. Homie didn't do a damn thing. So why did that happen? What did they say that they was it because he put his foot on the top stair and they said, "Don't you dare step on that top stair. Soon as you put your foot here, you're going to get your ass arrested." Is that what happened? Wow.
The officers then grabbed a protester with a black shirt, Caden Rumler, who sent me these photos from the hospital where he says he is being treated for a serious eye injury, which he describes in a statement read by a fellow member of Dare to Struggle, the organization that was protesting Friday.
I heard a bang and suddenly I was on my knees. The DHS agent dragging me towards the building. I was gripping the front of my collar.
Over the phone, Caden explains he was taken inside the government building and eventually transported to a hospital where he remains after losing his eye. This is the moment he says an agent shot him.
Shot at point blank range in the face with a pepper ball bullet.
The other protesters seemed struggling with officers also speaking to media.
I was released from Santa Ana jail after being held for almost 3 days without knowing my charge until the morning of my release.
DHS responding to Fox 11 saying this
That's
was a mob
crazy.
throwing rocks, bottles, and fireworks, and that, quote, one of the rioters who was arrested for disorderly conduct was taken to the hospital for a cut and was released that night.
Word? One of the rioters who was arrested for disorderly conduct was taken to the hospital for a cut and was released that night for a cut, though? He lost his whole eye, y'all. He lost his whole eye. And they're saying that this was a little cut and that he was released later on. What? They say that he was under the knife for several hours as they started to basically try to save his eye, and then they couldn't save his eye. So his eye is gone, y'all.
Orange County Supervisor Vicente
Jesus.
Sarmiento says he was there.
The rhetoric.
And that local authorities cannot get any details from the feds about what you see happening in this video.
We can't hold anybody responsible. That's the frustration that people have, is that they're seeing this unfold before their eyes with little to no accountability.
And he's also
This is the reason why you see everybody and their mama showing up with these with goggles and masks and all that. All these protesters are showing up completely like almost like they're wearing tactical gear just so that they can protest. That's crazy. Okay?
also afraid that people are going to stop showing up at these rallies. And the organization, I know they're saying they're going to continue, that they don't want people to be afraid. Now, I have put the entire statement we got from the Department of Homeland Security on our website at foxla.com so you can read it. And they insist that this was a mob. This young man says he was holding a megaphone.
That's what it looked like to me. That's what it looked like to me. Hold on, let's go back. Let's go back to the initial clip where they kind of snatched the guy or the person in the shirt. Look, there is the person, okay? Protester in the white shirt right here. Protester in white shirt holding a megaphone, by the way, right there. If my eyes serve me correctly.
During a Friday night rally in Santa Ana, grab someone holding a loudspeaker and pull him away.
That's weird, right? That's a little bit weird, right? So he had a megaphone. This particular protester had a megaphone. Did not have anything that could, project any type of anything lethal in their direction. And then bang, he just got snatched. The other guy's like, wait, what are you doing? Running after him. And then all of a sudden, pow, he gets blasted in the eye with a pepper ball. Let me show you that again. Take a look. They're not doing it. I don't see anything illegal here.
Federal agents approached protesters during a Friday night rally in Santa Ana.
Did you see that? He didn't do anything. This protester didn't do anything.
Grab someone holding a loudspeaker and pull him away as other protesters move up, including one wearing a dark shirt who doubles over. The other protester wearing a white shirt struggles with officers. The officers then grab the protester with the black shirt.
Part of me wonders if this is the same guy who actually pulled the trigger in his face that dragged him into the building. Hold on. Let's see this.
Grab someone holding a loudspeaker and pull him away as other protesters move up, including one wearing a dark shirt who doubles over.
No, it's not.
The other protester wearing a white shirt struggles with officers.
Yeah, it's not. Because that guy who pulled the trigger in his eye is right here. This is just one of the original three that went up and detained the guy in the white shirt. So crazy. But there's more. We got an interview by the guy who actually got pew-pewed in the face. Fair warning. It's not a good look. That's one hell of a wound, y'all.
K-A-D-E-N.
Yeah, K-A-D-E-N.
Do you want to give us your last name?
Sure. Rumler.
Okay, spell that, please.
R-U-M-M-L-E-R.
Okay, and you are 21?
Yes, I'm 21.
Okay. Tell us about just what hit you. Do you know what hit you, and what are you going through?
They called it a PSL bullet. We tried to contact them to know what kind of metal it is and what it is, and they kind of not let us know. Like, my doctor tried to contact DHS, and they gave her a phone number, and then that person gave her a phone number, and that person gave her a phone number, and then that phone number went to nothing. And
all right, really quick, PSL bullet refers to the powerful a powerful bullet cartridge used in the Romanian PSL rifle, a large caliber semi-automatic designated marksman rifle, DMR, known for its AKM derived design and use of potent Eastern Bloc ammunition, often compared to the Soviet Dragunov, but with distinct features like its unique X-stamped magazines. While capable, the PSL's accuracy can suffer from heat buildup, and it's designed for general squad support, not precision sniping like an actual Dragunov. Interesting. So not a pepper ball, a PSL bullet. Interesting, right?
My dad went to the office and tried to ask them about it, and they kind of just told him, like, wouldn't let it tell him anything. So
basically, I think they call this a less than lethal round.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
How did it feel?
I remember when it hit me, I kind of didn't realize what happened, really. I remember falling to my knees, and I remember covering my head, and it was just like this pressure and this ringing in my ear, and like everything just started muffling, and like, I don't know, it felt kind of surreal in a sense. I felt like, I think I had so much adrenaline from the impact that I wasn't really fully feeling it yet, I don't think.
Did you know you were bleeding profusely?
I felt like a lot of warmth on my face, but like I couldn't really tell that I was bleeding quite yet. It wasn't until he started dragging me when I really felt it and knew I was bleeding.
What were you saying in that moment
when he was dragging me?
Yeah.
Well, this was closed and it was choking me, and I was trying to grab at it, and I was like, I can't breathe, and he just kept dragging me and didn't say a word. So
what are your thoughts? What's going through your mind right now?
Right now, well, I'm not really sure. I'm mostly trying to remember and make sure I get the details right and stuff. Going over it in my mind.
Because a lawsuit is coming. Let's not forget that too. Or at least that's what I feel like he's saying right now. Right? Like, I'm trying to remember everything because, yeah, this lawsuit's coming. And he could probably win. But, you know, it's really sad that you got this guy losing his eyesight. It ain't right.
I've been going over it a lot lately. It's, kind of sucks having to relive it over and over to tell all these people, but it's something that I think needs to be done. So.
Were you given medical attention quickly? What happened after you were dragged into the building?
Once I was dragged into the building, he had me down on the floor, and I remember seeing this pile of blood. It was really dark, coagulated blood. It was just a pile bigger than my face, and he pushed my head into it like this, and he just held me there, and then with his free hand, he was on top of me, and he was putting my hands behind my back really aggressively and handcuffing me. And I was pleading with him. I was like, call an ambulance. Please call an ambulance. There's so much blood. Please call an ambulance. I'm going to bleed out. Please call an ambulance. He didn't say a word. He was completely silent.
Did he ever mock you? Saying, you're going to be blind in that eye?
Well, that was when that happened. It was people I couldn't see at this point, so I don't know who it was. But when they took me outside to go to the ambulance, which wasn't there yet, I was standing out in the cold, leaning against a rail, and they wouldn't let me sit because they were like, you won't be able to get up. So they made me stand, and I had no shoes on, and I was cold and shivering, and two people were talking. I couldn't see them. I couldn't see anything. And they kind of said they were chuckling and saying how I won't ever get to see out of my left eye again, just chuckling about it. And I remember saying, shame, shame on you guys for laughing at the fact that I'll never see again. Shame on you. And after that, they kind of shut up and went silent.
How long did you wait before the ambulance came? Do you know?
I was really out of it. I was just trying to focus on staying conscious. So I'm not entirely sure, but it was at least 30 minutes.
Well, can you tell us about your injuries now and the prognosis? Will you be blind in that eye for life?
From what I've heard the doctors say and everyone else, yes, I will be blind for life. They said my globe was ruptured. I had my lower lid was cut up, and they had to take skin from my temple to fix it. There's a lot to it. I don't remember all the things that they said. I have fractures in my skull that they can't fix, and I can't sneeze or cough because it's dangerous too.
Wow.
I remember also when I shot, there was pepper in it, and I had pepper down my throat. It made it hard to breathe for a long time.
That's crazy.
They pulled a piece of plastic the size of a nickel out of my eye. They said I had shards of metal, glass, and plastic all throughout my eye and behind my eye and in my skull. And they also said that I had a piece of shrapnel metal about a few millimeters away from my carotid artery. And they said it was a miracle I survived, because if it got any closer, if it hit that, I would have died that night.
Totally blind right now? You see nothing out of the eye?
Nothing out of this eye. Yeah, it's black.
What are your thoughts on getting shot like this and the level of force that was used?
It was completely unnecessary. Like I said, I'm 5'1", I weigh 102 pounds. Just a push would have done enough to get me back, and it's completely unnecessary to shoot me point blank in the face in my eye, only a few feet away from me. I think he was trying to kill me. I fully believe he was trying to kill me. So.
Will this change your methods going forward in terms of activism, protests? Is this having any impact on that part of your life?
No, I won't let it. I won't let them silence my voice. I will keep going to these protests and chant and do the chants and speak out and tell people what they need to hear, I guess.
You're part of a group called Dare to Struggle, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell us a little bit about the group?
They advocate for social justice. They do protest against police killings, like the one of Albert Arzola, the 19-year-old who was shot and killed by Anaheim PD right, I think it was around his birthday. It was really sad. They've been protesting for Renee Good, and yeah, they're really good people. I would trust them with my life.
I read your father's heartfelt statement on Facebook saying he's a conservative Republican. You're a liberal Democrat, if that's fair to say.
I would call myself a leftist more so.
A leftist?
Yeah.
But that he believes in the rule of law and supports law enforcement, but says this was not right and that people should be treated fairly.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your father speaking out for you?
That's fine. He's his own person. He can say what he wants to say, I guess.
I mean, he is saying that it's not right what happened to his son. So he is on the side of his son. He may be conservative, but he's also seeing it and going, this is not right. This was not just. So there's that, right?
That's all I have to say to that.
All right, now I guess we'll go to John.
And I do believe that this person may be trans, but I don't want to say anything that's out of pocket. I don't want to be completely wrong, but I think they may be trans. But I don't know. I don't know. But that's the vibe I'm getting. We'll see. I'm not going to play this whole thing, but let's see what's going on.
Thank you, Kay. Tell us what you do.
John Washington, John, Washington, like the state. I'm a civil rights lawyer, and myself and my
What'd I say?
colleagues are representing Caden currently and exploring all our options.
Are you based here in Southern California, John?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, out of Los Angeles.
Are you considering legal action against DHS? What's going on here?
We're currently investigating and keeping all of our options open, including legal action.
What is your summation on what happened to Kay?
I mean, I think anyone who sees the video can tell. I think it's just completely unjustifiable use of force, and the force used was, as you just heard from about the injuries, was lethal force.
I agree 110%. Obviously, we're not going to play this whole doggone thing, but I agree. I don't think that they did anything. I don't think that he did anything wrong. I really don't. I really don't think he did anything wrong. He was running towards police. That doesn't mean that he should be bang, right? You see what I'm saying? That's lethal force. I agree with this lawyer. That shouldn't have happened, period. Right? So hopefully he gets the justice that he rightfully deserves. I don't think he did anything wrong. I don't think the person in front of him as well that was snatched up and arrested did anything wrong as well. What? So it's lethal to be yelling into a bullhorn? Is that what it is now? So freedom of speech is completely stripped when you're just standing there? Yes, you're angry, but you're not throwing anything violent towards them. You can hurl insults to these police officers and not get arrested for those things. It should not automatically mean, ooh, they're dangerous people. They're volatile. They're tyrants out here. No, this is not how it should go. Period. So they got this wrong. They got that wrong with what they did to those two protesters. That's wrong, y'all. That's just my thoughts. But moving on, we got to get into this piece too. Okay, I told you guys I would share this with you guys and talk about this whole thing. The fact that in fact, actually, before we go into that, I'm going to end this poll, okay? Because I over 400 votes. I asked you guys from the video that we just saw a little bit ago about the guy saying, we need to show up suited and booted by any means necessary, right? I asked you guys, do you agree with this guy? I said no guns or bring guns. 67% of you guys out of 409 votes said no, don't bring the weapons. Don't. I agree with you guys. I 110% agree with you guys. But here's the thing. We all are kind of interested about and curious about what is the vetting process? What is the recruiting process to become ICE? Well, according to Democracy Now!, they had an interview with a reporter, basically an investigative reporter that went undercover acting as somebody who would like to become an ICE agent. And the information that we hear in this video is absolutely asinine. I guarantee you, since the recording of this interview, which I think was it came out yesterday or something like that, or 2 days, within a day or 2 days, they're going to be changing their policies very, very soon. The way that they handle these situations, because we are now hearing that they don't do any background checks. They don't do their due diligence to find out the people that they're actually hiring as ICE agents are rightfully, properly vetted and right for the job. They move the goalpost just so that they can get whoever they can to take the gig. This is absolutely insane. So we're going to jump ahead to this interview. This is insane. Okay, so they say journalist tests ICE recruitment, surprised to find herself hired with no background check, y'all. Zero background check. Wild.
And what happened? Absolutely. So the hiring event, basically you brought your resume in, you handed it over, they were going to do an interview, and they were promising on-the-spot hiring to where you could, in fact, walk out with your $50,000 bonus that day, possibly. I went in.
walking out with a $50,000 bonus check in your pocket as soon as you get recruited. That's how quick. And then there's also now new information. Get this, guys. ICE agents are making about $200,000 a year. No, I didn't stutter. I didn't stutter at all. These ICE agents are making upwards of $200,000 a year. There's footage of people going out here talking to these officers, talking ish, And one of them basically said, one of these ICE agents felt like he was compelled to talk about his paycheck. Real talk. Because this one person said, hey, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I work hard for my money. I bet you don't make anything, right? I make $200,000, right? He's like, oh, that's funny. Well, I make $200,000 a year. So I don't know what you're talking about. I make money. I make plenty of money. So again, pretty insane stuff. Let's take a listen to this.
I handed in my resume, which was, I did a skills-based resume. I'm a veteran. I served 2 tours in Afghanistan. So on the surface, the resume looked pretty good. Had a very brief interview, took all of 6 minutes. They didn't ask very many questions. And then I left, assuming I would never hear back, because I'm a very Googleable person. I have an unusual name. I'm the only Laura Judith on the internet. And I make no secret of how I feel about ICE and Trump and all of it. So I was not expecting several days later to receive a tentative offer. I missed it in my inbox and it sunk to the bottom, which means that I never filled out the paperwork they requested. I never accepted the tentative offer. I never filled out my background check paperwork. I never signed the affidavit saying I committed no domestic violence crimes, none of it. A few weeks later, I got a message from LabCorp saying that ICE wanted me to do a drug test, and I went ahead and did that. I was pretty sure I wouldn't pass. I'd partaken in legal cannabis 6 days before the test, but why not waste some of their money, right? And then 9 days after that, I decided I wanted to, I was curious, had they processed the drug test yet? So I logged onto the ICE hiring portal, and what I found was that not only did the drug test not seem to be relevant, I was listed as having joined ICE as of 3 days earlier. I had listed that I had accepted the offer. They had offered me a final position as a deportation officer. My background check was listed as completed 3 days in the future from when I was looking at it. So it seems like the answer to the question, who are they hiring, is they don't know.
Wow. You write in the piece, at first glance, my resume has enough to tantalize a recruiter for America's Gestapo in waiting. You're likening ICE to the Gestapo?
Absolutely. And I don't think that's in any way hyperbole. We have armed, masked thugs on our street right now who are brutalizing, detaining, and murdering people with apparent impunity, a carte blanche, a license to kill from our government. And they can't even keep track of who's behind the masks. I don't believe for a second they're keeping track of who's a U.S. citizen, who needs to be deported, where these people even are. These disappearances where people vanish into the system, is it on purpose, or are they really that sloppy with paperwork? Ultimately, it doesn't matter. This constitutes a national emergency. We have unknown armed thugs in masks who are terrorizing citizens.
What you think about that? Now, here's the thing. I'm sure there's going to be pushback saying that this woman, this journalist, is not telling the truth, that she's just making things up to fit her own bias. But if you really think about it, think about how quickly they've been able to vet and hire new ICE agents, new recruits, basically daily. They got hundreds of thousands of emails and applications coming in because people see the financial gain of joining ICE. You got a $50,000 signing bonus, opportunity to handle all of your debts. Then you get paid a 6-figure a year job. That's a salaried job. You also got to remember, a lot of these guys are either ex-military or military wannabes, law enforcement wannabes, ex-law enforcement, others that are have maybe been fired from their job in law enforcement or have been, kicked out of the military for God knows what, maybe volatile, violent acts, etc. Same thing with law enforcement, right? There's plenty of these guys that really need the job. Let's not forget these J6ers as well, who can't get a job right now because What Starbucks is going to hire a dude that just a couple years ago stormed the Capitol? I don't know about you, but I don't know many, many jobs that are going to be like, oh, we don't care about you being a J6er. Come on over here. You know, you're not a violent individual. You're not unhinged. All of them are getting these gigs, guys. Yes, and I saw General Genobi say this, so I'm going to pull this up in the super chat, and I appreciate you putting this up in the super chat. But here's the thing, though. This is from what I've been seeing, because I looked this up before we went live. They're saying that this is just a rumor. I have yet to see it actually be full on confirmed that the leader of the Proud Boys is an actual ICE agent. There's just rumor being said about that. But I haven't seen any confirmation as far as articles or, reliable sources saying that, right? So again, we kind of have to take that information with a grain of salt and wait for more confirmation. I swear, I Googled it like crazy earlier today or earlier before we went live just to see if that was actually true or not. Okay. And nothing's coming up like it's true. If it is true, hopefully it will be revealed, because I feel like the likes of somebody like him, if he is an actual ICE agent, that can tell you that Proud Boys are in the ICE, right? We got Proud Boys on ICE. That sounds weird too. It's like Disney on ICE, but you get what I'm saying, right? So hopefully that's not true, but it may be true. But again, this woman is sitting there going like, they didn't even have a proper vetting process. Let's not forget, they reduced their training time down to 47 days. Why? Because he's the 47th president. He's number 47. That's it. He's like, yeah, that sounds great. 47 days of training. That's all they need. And then put them out there and get the evildoers. Get these bad guys. Are you out your freaking mind? Law enforcement is 5 to 6 plus months of proper training to make sure you are absolutely ready to be out there in the streets protecting and serving your community. Why is ICE any different? Why is ICE getting treated differently? 47 days and that's it? For a fact, the unhinged of the unhinged most likely are ICE agents as well. Yeah, you got guys who are sitting there caught on camera going, oh, I love you. I love you. I want to hug you. I love you. Right? You got that going on. Sure. He's a nice guy. We caught him on a good day. But what about all these other ICE agents that we're seeing throwing flash bombs or flash grenades and pepper spraying families and cars filled with families, etc., not giving a damn if somebody's having a seizure or whatnot, right? While they're detaining them. There's no training, guys. This is insane. Zero. And the vetting process, according to her, is trash. Let's continue.
So you have served in the military. You deployed twice. Can you talk about what that experience taught you? And also, you did do an interview with an agent, and I'm wondering if you could tell us what that agent said to you and where that went.
Absolutely. So I joined the military right out of high school. I really believed in the whole war on terror thing. I really thought we were going over to spread freedom and democracy and what have you. And when I got there, it became very evident very quickly that that was not the case and that we were doing it was a bad war and we should not have been there telling people what to do. I was in Eastern Afghanistan for the first deployment, Western Afghanistan for the second.
So she must have been deployed after 9/11. I'm not trying to age her or anything, but that's kind of like the general consensus that I've seen. There was a huge uptick, massive uptick in recruits signing up for the military, signing up for the army, whatever, right after 9/11 happened. So that may have been what happened. She may have been inspired after that.
So I did not see combat, but as a military intelligence collector, I saw plenty of the decisions that got people killed on both sides that didn't need to happen. So I came back very disillusioned, like a lot of people, and actually like the ICE agent that I spoke to, which, by the way, this interview wasn't actually part of the hiring process. It was an optional step to see if I wanted to join up. But he told me that he was also joined right out of high school. He also deployed. And when he got back, he also got out as soon as he could. He didn't want anything to do with the military, but he had a lot of trouble assimilating, as a lot of veterans do. And so about 6 months later, he decided to go for law enforcement, and the rest is history. He's been an ICE agent, he said, for about a decade. He likes the work. He feels like he's getting instant results. And this is very sad to me and also emblematic of a problem we have where we use this language of terrorism and weapons of mass destruction and freedom and democracy at the barrel of a gun. We did this overseas, and it's come home in every conceivable way.
Talk about your concerns about them not doing a background check. I mean, what does this mean for people who are documented to, wife beaters, people who kill women?
Yeah, I mean, it's very funny that they hired a lefty journalist with a profile on Antifa Watch. That's hilarious. But what's not funny is they didn't make me sign a domestic violence waiver. So how many people with domestic violence convictions are running around with guns in our cities terrorizing people? How many people who have been committed of sex crimes or crimes against children are in charge of detention centers where there's no oversight, where people won't be missed and won't be believed? The horror, it boggles the mind how bad this really is.
And you were hired to be a deportation officer. What exactly is that? Where would you serve?
Yeah, so yes, deportation officer. Basically, the agent was very keen on letting me know that I wouldn't be given a badge and a gun right away. I wouldn't be out in the street messing people up. I would probably have to push paperwork for about 6 months before I got there. And when I expressed that was fine with me, with my analyst background, he actually, the atmosphere changed. He was like, no, listen, we want everyone on the street with guns eventually. And I had to reassure him that that was also fine.
Oh, wow. We want everybody on the streets at some point. We don't want people in there here pushing paperwork. We want you out there in the streets catching these bad guys, these illegals.
It seems like the focus is very much getting people out on the street with guns, and the focus of the people applying apparently is to get out on the street as quickly as possible to brutalize people.
I'll just end by asking you, you said you signed up to fight the war on terror and you served twice in Afghanistan. You call what's happening here in the United States the war on terror come home.
Yes, it is very sad. It is not surprising, but it is very sad. This is a national emergency. This is a state emergency. And frankly, it's past time that governors called up the National Guard to protect the citizens who elected them to keep them safe from the people actually terrorizing us in the streets.
Laura Jadid, I want to thank you.
That's just, I mean, if what she's saying is absolutely true, which I believe her, I do believe it, is insane. It's insane that their vetting process is that subpar. That's insane. I just don't see somebody going out of their way. Like right now, when everything's so damn volatile nowadays, the fact that everything's so damn volatile right now, I just don't see the likes of anyone going out in front of a camera and lying right now against ICE or even lying against the protesters, for example. I just don't see it because everyone's putting their neck out on the line as soon as they get their face on camera, trying to expose anything with this government, with this administration, with how things are being handled in these streets. A lot of these people are risking their necks. So for them to lie, they would get into a heap load of trouble. So again, this is insane. Now, there is something I do want to talk to you guys about. So tiny bit of a left turn, but it's not really. It's still in the political realm. But I did ask you guys in the, pin to the top of the chat about Riley Sasha. Or let me say that again, about Sasha Riley. Now, I want this to be abundantly clear, all right? I have only heard a little bit about Sasha Riley. Now, Sasha Riley, and I'm going to say this too, I gotta jump through a lot of hoops to be able to say what I'm saying here. So get ready for a crap ton of code words gymnastics here. But Sasha Riley is a war veteran, but also claims to be an Epstein survivor. And he said that he was moved around, if you get what I'm saying, at a very, very young age, and that he was ST'd at a very, very young age and saw things that are just, I can't even verbally say the things that he has experienced and what he saw at the hands of not only Epstein, but also allegedly Trump himself. Wild things. Like, for example, this is what he claims, Sasha Riley, that he witnessed Trump unalive a bunch of puppies in front of littles. That he has been a part of certain things that I can't, like I said, I can't even say these things out loud. But this is apparently an interview that's now going viral. It's circulating all over the internet. Mainstream media hasn't even touched this interview, but there's a woman that recorded a whole bunch of, several hours of an interview with this guy, Sasha Riley, who claims that he is a victim of Epstein and the likes of other higher ups like Trump and others, and that Trump was witness to a lot of things. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if I believe it. I'm sorry. I got to be honest. I am quite curious about this situation. I'm quite curious about what has been said in these interviews. I don't know what to make of it. I'm not sitting here saying that I don't believe him. I'm not sitting here saying that I do believe him. But what I do think is that these are very shocking, unbelievable allegations that are coming from a new name that we've never heard of before. And also, this is also coming from a man. We're used to the survivors being female. Now we're hearing it from a male perspective. I think that's a massive deal too. Okay. So again, let's just take a look at this. All right. So, his alleged viral audio recording reignites debates about or around Epstein's case. Here's what all need to know. So, a series of audio recordings circulating across social media platforms has reignited public interest in the long-running Jeffrey Epstein scandal. So, these recordings attributed to a man identified as Sasha, or Sasha with a C, okay, well, the SASCHA, okay, I've seen it spelled 15 different ways, okay, when it comes to this particular case. But it contains serious allegations of attacks and teeing. However, it is important to note that these claims remain unverified and have not been authenticated by courts, law enforcement agencies, or any official investigations. So this whole thing could be one fat-ass fugazi. It could be a demented fan fiction. Could very well be that too. You never know. We got to err on the side of caution here, guys, right? Despite their growing reach online, the recordings stand outside the bounds of legally confirmed evidence. So what do these recordings claim? Shared widely on platforms such as Substack and other digital networks, the audio clips feature Riley describing alleged experiences of being moved around, code words, okay, between the ages of 9 and 13. In the recordings, he recounts episodes of violence and exploitation, speaking in a testimonial format during what appears to be an interview. Throughout the conversation, Riley names several prominent public, political, and judicial figures, claiming they were connected to Epstein's alleged network. However, none of the individuals mentioned in the recordings are tied to indictments, court rulings, or verified investigative findings related to Epstein. As of now, these claims exist solely within the recordings and lack independent corroboration. So who is Sasha Riley? According to information shared on social media, Riley identifies himself as a war veteran who served during the Iraq War. He has also claimed that he escaped being moved around as a child. The recordings appeared to capture an exchange between Riley and another man who asks direct questions about Epstein. Riley responds by detailing what he says he knows, presenting his account as first-hand testimony. Still, the authenticity of both the recordings and the claims within them has not been independently verified. So, verified Epstein records released over the years. While Riley's recordings remain unconfirmed, a significant amount of authenticated material related to Epstein and his associate Ghislaine has been released publicly in the recent years. In January 2024, a court order release made more than 1,400 pages of documents public. They made them public, including depositions involving Epstein and Maxwell. These recordings or these records reference multiple high-profile individuals, though inclusion in the documents did not imply criminal wrongdoing. Now, again, I just want to make this abundantly clear because this conversation about Sasha Riley has gone crazy all over the internet, okay? And the thing is I got questions. Is this for real? Is this the real deal Holyfield? Or is this one big fat ass fugazi? Because again, let's be real. I've even said this before, and I feel like it's a question that needs to be answered. As much as we've heard all the women, there's a multitude of women, thousands of women that have stepped forward that claim that Jeffrey Epstein was an absolute tyrant to them. Okay? He had one of the biggest STing rings ever in the Western Hemisphere. Historically known, notoriously historically known for what he did. Thousands of women. But instantly I go, what about the men? You mean to tell me there weren't men? None? Zero? You mean to tell me all the people that are alleged of being a part of this Epstein list, right, didn't have desires of the same sex? Or in fact, desires for men? You don't think that there were women that were just tyrants that were working or getting hooked up by Epstein? Think about that for a second. You mean to tell me it was just men going after females and that's it? He didn't make good with any men who happen to be bisexual or homosexual or women that were also just dirty little dogs that wanted to, that were higher up, that he was hooking them up with possible prospects of the male kind? I mean, think about that for a second. What about the men? Were there any men? So again, I'm not sitting here saying that I believe the Sasha Riley situation, but I'm not sitting here saying that I don't. Maybe the men are too scared to step forward, or maybe all the men are gone. Because apparently there's a title that's been shared quite a bit saying no need to worry or something like that. No need to worry. Boys are hard to find or something of that sort. I got to look this up. Hold on. Yeah, don't worry. Boys are hard to find. That's one of the things that people have been sharing and reacting to quite a bit. So again, that is absolutely insane. If that's the case, absolutely insane. But what say you? You guys believe the Riley Sasha? The Riley Sasha. I keep on saying Riley Sasha. The Sasha Riley situation? Or do you think it's just somebody who may have some mental health issues that is just saying this for the sake of saying it? What do you think? Actually, I'm going to do a quick poll. Quick, easy, yes and no. Okay. Do you believe the Sasha Riley interview? Do you believe it? Okay. Yes or no? Very simple question. Okay. But that is something that I think we all want to know. Is this true? And why is he the only male so far that hasn't stepped forward, that has stepped forward about this? If there's Sasha and that's real, there's others. There's got to be. All right. So I'm going to get into these super chats here really quick. So General Genobi, thank you so much for the love. Can you hit in the breaking story of the indigenous people being held until tribal leaders sign arguments to let lands be raided? Wow. That is insane if that's the case. Now, I did look this up, but I haven't gotten a chance to look at this article in its entirety. But let's see what's going on here. I typed in what you said earlier, and it says here that they do have Native Americans detained in Minnesota. The detention of at least 5 men in and around Minneapolis have sparked an outcry among Native American groups about indigenous people being racially profiled as undocumented immigrants by federal immigration agents. Minneapolis is one of the largest urban centers for Native Americans in the U.S. I think that's really reckless too. If that's the case, if they're just going in and just getting people because they're brown, that's very reckless as well. See, that's the thing. This is the problem. They could just go up to anybody, and if they're darker than your average Caucasian, you might have some problems. Even the ladies who are always tan 24/7, even you white ladies out there that are tanning 24/7 and have dark features, sheesh, they might pull you over too. What's your name? My name's Katie Johnson. Seriously? Wait for it. Well, my bad, ma'am. I thought you were in illegal. Seriously? Them spray tans. So U.S. Today previously spoke with Native American citizens worried about getting caught at the start of President Trump's push to apprehend and deport millions of immigrants suspected of being undocumented. The incidents against Native people appear to be increasing. So on January 8th, ICE agents arrested Jose Ramirez, 20 years old, Red Lake Nation descendant outside of Minneapolis during a traffic stop while his aunt filmed. So he was later released with no charges. In a statement, Ramirez said he was violently attacked an ICE officer during a high-risk immigration enforcement stop. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to see if there's anything about them signing papers to the land to, attack, to go and raid their land, which is insane. Why would they go raid their land if Native Americans are not immigrants? You see what I'm saying? Why would they go raid the land? If that's the case, why would they do that? Right? That makes no sense. Let's see, like other tribe. Okay, so Starr comes out. Wait. Neither ICE nor DHS immediately responded to email questions. Okay, so Starr comes out like other tribal leaders issued information about what to do if a Native person was approached or detained by ICE. The Native Americans Rights Fund also released a Know Your Rights flyer. Okay, so the Navajo Nation leaders advised citizens last January to carry their certificate of Indian blood or tribal identification card. Now, like I said, you got to walk around with these damn papers, y'all, which is insane. And it's going to be, I have a feeling it's going to be any person that is, soon it's going to be any person that's brown and darker than brown. Okay. But that is insane. I don't see anything about them signing papers to, will release the people that we detained that have every legal right to live in America because they are American citizens. But you need to sign these papers so that we can go into your lands and start getting all these illegals that are living on your land. That's insane if that's the case, but I don't see that yet. But if I do find that, I will talk about that more. Okay, when we have time. General Genobi, thank you so much for the love. Video out of cube cars. ICE cars taken over. And guns, ammo, and paperwork left behind. Dozens of names to include judges and agents. Yes, I saw the video. And I'm going to be real. I'm not showing that on this platform because out of fear, like I'm personally not trying to dox anybody. And I think that there's a lot of other platforms that have already done that enough. I just don't want to compromise this platform. I just don't stand for the doxing thing, period. Okay. I just don't. And I just feel like that could turn into a problem, sharing that all over this platform. Okay. So I'm just going to err on caution for that. All right. Tread lightly around that situation, but that is being shared all over. That video is being shared all over the internet right now. Dynamic, thank you so much for the love. Dynamic Quality Universal Sonore. Thank you so much for the love. Iran threatened Trump and Putin threatened the world. I do know about Iran or Iran threatening Trump. I have not heard anything about Putin threatening the world, but I'll look into that as well when I get some free time for sure. Neon, thank you so much for the love. I used it before. I'll use it again. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. Yeah, absolutely. Bars. Once again, bars. And that's true. We are living in that kind of situation right now as we speak. They're sitting there going, no, what you're seeing is not what you're seeing. It's the complete opposite. And what's sad is that there are people out here in the world that are actually agreeing and saying, yeah, agreeing with what the government is saying. Oh, no, they're right. What we're seeing is true. What we're seeing is what they're saying is correct. Quit thinking that you're seeing something because you're not seeing anything. There's nothing to see here, right? Pretty insane. General Genobi, thank you so much for the love. I take comfort as a history major knowing 1940 regime fell and the people took care of the people. History. Yes, I truly think that history is repeating itself in a very weird and more modern way. But yes, we are going to see how this transpires. But hopefully, I'm hoping that we're going in this certain type of, we're going down this particular road, but then it will quickly get stopped. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. That we're thinking, oh God, we're about to go into, Nazi Germany. Oh my God. Hopefully, you know what I mean? But then something stops it, right? It stops from happening. Like Trump suddenly has a change of heart or suddenly has a new thing that he's obsessing about or something of that sort, right? I just hope we don't go down that route. I really hope not. But if they got ICE growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, all because of money, literally it's all because of money, it's sad, y'all. It's really, really sad. Rook, thank you so much for the love. Thank you so much for being a member for the past 28 months, over 2 years. Damn. What's up, man? Good to see you too. Good to see the fam as well. Okay. General, we got a couple from you, so I'm gonna go. I got a bunch from you actually. Okay, so we're gonna crush them. So and thank you so much for the super chats. I really do appreciate it. So gangs are calling truces to work together, and Black Panthers are reforming, to protect neighborhoods. Yep, I got a video I'm gonna show here in a second. ICE is asking people to turn in Asian neighbors. What? Say that again. Hit the wrong button. What? What? ICE is asking people to turn in their Asian neighbors? Is that for real? General Pascal, he was trying to leave to take. Oh, okay. I pulled this one up already. Thank you so much. Story is out there. Training was 4 weeks online, which is also just insane. They say 47 days training. That's it, right? But now they want to turn in their Asian. Now the focus is going to be Asian. What? Like I said, I told you it's going to be, like they're just going to move around. They're going to get fluid with this stuff, right? They're also trying to, they are actually trying to get people to like expose people. There's videos out here all over TikTok and whatnot being like, there was a guy just selling flowers, I think, like outside of a business, outside of a restaurant. Dude walked up, like a guy who was like the manager of the restaurant or something like that, ran up to him, like followed him as he's walking down the street, like away from his business. And he said, hey, oh, so you drive a Honda, I see. So here's the thing, yo, I know you. I got people that are watching you, and I know you're not legal. So if you keep coming over here to sell flowers, because I know that's what you're doing. You're selling flowers, not only in front of my business, but somebody else's business as well. You keep on doing that. If I see you over here soon, the next time I see you, I'm calling ICE. And he's like pulling out his phone, like, I'm not kidding. Pulling out his phone, about to call, like, he's like, I'm about to call ICE. Real talk. We are living in that time. This is almost like Anne Frank time. Oh, I know the family that lives next door to me. Oh, they're Jewish. Let me rally the troops. Let me call up Gestapo as they can come over here and put their feet on their necks. You see what I'm saying? It's insane, but that is real. That is real. Okay. DOJ has sent federal prison guards to the streets now. Wow. What? Why? They literally they have enough agents. There's enough people applying for the job. You see what I'm saying? There's plenty of people out there wanting this job because the money for them, they think it's the best thing in the world, right? General Genobi, thank you so much for the love. A reporter wanted to prove how they hire. She applied and got, so what I just read, right? She failed the drug test. The 5 questions. Laura Jadid. Yes, what I just showed on the show. That's absolutely crazy, right? And some people are saying it's fake. Some will say it's fake, y'all. But anyway, my miracle mama, thank you so much. Preach Pascal, we do need peace. Yes, we do. We most definitely do. We most definitely do. The Barbie mommy, thank you so much. Mommy, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. We are at war with our government. And at this point, I don't see who can protect us if Trump is the one who is imposing the violence. Yes, is what I'm saying. This is kind of wild. This is kind of wild. Right now, with the situation that we are in this juncture, I think that we are just living in a weird time. And I feel like there's going to be, I fear that it's going to get to the place where there will be no room for peace anymore. I don't want to see that, though. I really don't want to see that. That terrifies the hell out of me, and it should terrify the hell out of you guys too. Neon, thank you so much. Hey, Pascal, I'm suggesting a movie and the chat to watch. It's called They Live. It's a John Carpenter movie, and it hits hard. Yeah. I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum. And I'm all out of bubble gum. Yep. Crazy movie. That movie is insane. Good suggestion. Good suggestion for sure. General Genobi, thank you so much. I was safer deployed in Iraq than U.S. soil. Facts. Yeah. Things are getting really volatile right now. And here's the thing. Some of these other countries might be like, let's wait. Like Iran. Like, what if there is an absolute rebellion revolution on American soil? Same thing that's going on in Iran. What if that's actually happening here in America? You realize that that is what some of these huge countries are hoping for? The ones that are always jealous and side-eyeing and sneering at America. They're waiting for the moment of weakness so that they can pounce. Look at what Trump is about to do for Iran. If that actually does happen, it's going to happen. But when it does happen, you don't think that he's going to take control and that, let's just say, the exiled prince of Iran is not going to be his new puppet that he gets to pull the strings on? And he's going to have full control over all the natural resources and the oil that's over there in Iran? So think about what's going on in America right now. There's a lot of bad that's going on that could potentially get much worse. Imagine if it goes into a whole other level of turmoil and absolute chaos, but it's countrywide. You don't think the likes of Putin or China, like Russia or China or any of these other places that are always side-eyeing and always keeping an eye on America, keeping tabs on them, could look at that as an opportunity to swoop in and become Captain Save-A-Ho? Just think about it. What we're doing for Iran could also happen here in America. You know what I mean? It's not good. It's not good. I don't want to see that. No one wants to see that. No Joy here. Thank you so much for the love. Remember, Trump said this out his own mouth, that him and Epstein had it out because he was taking his girls from Mar-a-Lago. Yes, that is very mother-loving true. He did. He said they were stealing. He was stealing them. He was stealing my girls. He did say that. He did. That is facts. Michelle Woods, thank you so much for the love. Appreciate you. Unrelated, but I wanted to get this off my chest. I had a horrible dream about Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. What? Don't remember much, but we became friends. What? That's a nightmare in itself for me. Throw me a freaking bone here. That's insane. Okay? Dr. Evil in your dream? Good. 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 That's weird. That's weird. That's weird. That's weird. You got me glitching here. Okay? That's weird, y'all. That's nasty. That's nasty. Goo. Like I said, can't believe that man gets laid. I'm going to say it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Hold on real quick, guys. Hold on. Apparently there was a press conference after a shooting at a warming center. What is a warming center?
So good morning. I'm Major Peter Millett.
What is a warming center? Does anybody know what a warming center is? Hold on. Hold on.
We have a lot to get to today, but first we want to bring you this breaking news from the Atlanta's north side. Officers were called out.
Yeah, somebody just said you dreamed of the devil. Like, it's like I dream of Beelzebub. You know what I'm saying? Not like I dream of Genie. You know what I'm saying? Like gee with this Dr. Evil. Like, you know what I mean? You know? Back that ass up. Let me bone you. I don't see how he gets laid. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. Okay. But there was a tragedy that happened at a warming center in Central Park in Atlanta. Let's quickly look at this.
Out to the area around the recreation center on Merritt Avenue this morning for reports of multiple people shot. That's where Central Park is, and that is where we find 11 Alive news reporter Chase Howe. And Chase, what can you tell us right now?
Danielle, so we did just get some new information from APD. What I can tell you is multiple people have been shot inside Central Park Rec Center, which we did come to find out is a warming center with the city of Atlanta. So as you can see, there's an ambulance on scene along with some Atlanta police officers that have been going in and out of that rec center, which is also a warming center. But we aren't sure, we aren't being told right now how many people have been shot. All we are being told are multiple people have been shot, because that number could change. But as you mentioned, this is all happening on Merritt and Felton. Right now, there is no impact to traffic in this area as it's off a main strip of road. But again, what we're being told from APD is that multiple people have been shot inside that Central Park Rec Center, which is also an Atlanta warming center. What you can see on that sign, though, on that yellow sign outside of that warming center, we were reading it earlier, it says no weapons. So how a weapon got inside that rec center is unclear. But what I can also tell you from APD, they do tell me that no one has died in connection to that shooting. But what we do know, once again, let me recap it for you, is that multiple people have been shot inside that warming center here on Merritt Avenue outside of Central Park. Again, no fatalities and no actual number of how many people have been shot, but we'll be working throughout the day to find out what happened, how many people were exactly shot, and where they were shot at exactly. But for now, live at...
So multiple people have been hit, and from what Nicole B just said, it is a spot for the homeless to warm up on really cold days, if I remember correctly. No fatalities, but multiple people have been hit. Yeah, that's absolutely terrifying and very, very sad. But thank God no one lost their life. They're alive. So hopefully we'll see what happens and how that if there's going to be any more developing updates on that one. But guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Looks like I'll be on Court TV tonight. Just so you know, I'll be with the GOAT, Vinny Politan, having some conversations. So be sure to tune in. I'll be over there live. So take the time to check it out if you can. Okay. And yeah, check it out. I'll be on tonight. Okay. But please do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Don't forget to hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. And if you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, make sure you hit that subscribe button or that follow button. Subscribe here on my main channel, The Pascal Show. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Subscribe over there. Hit that notification bell on all these channels. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random. Okay? Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. Anyway, guys, I appreciate all y'all. It's time to get going. And, of course, I may be back on a little bit later on, depending on if things are hitting the fan. We'll see what happens. But anyway, stay good out there. I'll be on. It'll be like 8 o'clock, 8 Central Standard Time, 9 Eastern tonight on Court TV. So be sure to tune in. All right. But anyway, it's time to get going. Much love to you guys. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is the Pascal Show. Oh, and I do have that poll. Let's not forget. Sorry. 68% of you guys believe it. Wow. That is insane. Out of 184 votes. Thank you so much for reminding me about that. But anyway, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is the Pascal Show.